Hello, everyone. It's William here at Allegory Gallery. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I hope that your day is going really, really well. Or evening, if you're watching this in the replay. I mean, it is kind of evening here. It doesn't feel like evening because it is still roasting hot here in Ligonier, and it's still bright daylight. It's a little bit strange, right? Uh, we get so used to doing these lives kind of almost at night, and it kind of now as summer's going on and it's lighter longer, um, it's one of those things. It just feels weird to start the light. Like it always creeps up on me, which is why I'm a little bit late today. It creeps up on me, but I hope you are all doing great out there. If you're out there, please say hi. Let me know in the comments. Um, I did not get to put anything up early. I've been running around for quite a while. Daniela, hello. I was just thinking I needed to write to you. We haven't heard from you in a while. I hope you're doing well. We have been insanely busy between three of our we had three of our cats this month going for spaying, and so they had their surgeries, and we had one every week for the past, well, not this week, so the past 3 weeks. So we have just been taking care of cats and making sure they get through everything okay. It has been a very long month. Long in that, everybody's doing great, which is 100% good. But of course, my anxiety is like up to here worrying about them because we care about them like our children. So they are our children as far as we're concerned. So we try to make sure everything is good. So we've been doing that. We've been working on a lot of different things. Daniela says, did you go to Italy yet? We have not. That is in November. We will be going to Italy. So yeah, that's but Andrew is not here tonight. So you're all just getting to hang out with me tonight. Andrew is at Touchstone Center for Crafts, and he is taking a class with Barbara McFadden in enameling, and tonight is their late night. They're doing some, I think, teacher presentations or lectures or something tonight. So he's staying late tonight, and you're stuck with me tonight, everybody, just me. So that means I can't really do mix and match very well. I really have liked doing the mix and matches lately. But and I do have some stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But it is one of those things that we'll see. We'll see. Hello, Norma. Hello, Susie. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. It's good to see Daniela here again. It's been a while. And yeah, it's been a lot between cat surgeries and the events that we went to, the Pride event, and getting ready for that, and our week-long break from selling to try to catch up on shipping and rearrange things in the cottage. We got some things rearranged in the cottage. Mostly my shipping department got rearranged. We didn't get nearly as much done as we wanted to, but we got some things done, and that helped. I've been trying to find myself a new doctor. I've been trying to take care of myself a little better. I went to the chiropractor yesterday, and I'll be going back tomorrow. I can tell this is the shoulder that got worked on in the chiropractor, and look how much lower it is and more relaxed it is than this shoulder. I can see it in the video. So it's one of those things. Like I'm like feeling so. I can't wait to go back tomorrow and see what happens. But yeah, and what else? Chiropractor, doctor, and there was something else I tried doing yesterday to get set up, but it's wild. Daniela went to Zurich for work and Lake Wallenisi to meet my children and grandchildren. We all gathered there and it was so fun. That's awesome. I'm glad I hope you had a really good time. I did not know you had grandchildren, so that's awesome. I'm glad you got to hang out and have fun with them. And I'm glad you're back. I'm glad to see you again. Hello, Sandra. Thank you for joining us here today. I see you are down to, I think as of this morning, was it this morning or last night? I don't know when you sent out your email. You had just 4 pairs of your those pearl earrings you debuted left. So that's a good thing. I like to see that you're selling things. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Angela is here. Hello, Angela. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so you're all stuck with me tonight. So some of you over the past day or so, I think just mostly today, have sent in some emails, and I did not get to them yet because the Apple Cloud, parts of the Apple Cloud are down. So I have not been able to access my spreadsheets at all today. I store everything in the cloud for the most part. The newest things that I work on are supposed to be on device, but apparently they are not. Because I went in, some people were requesting some things from yesterday and some things from a few days ago. And I can't access any of my spreadsheets unless they're local to the computer. And then if they're local to the computer, they're not saving to save them and see them in other locations. So I've not been able to check my spreadsheets for things that have sold. And I don't know how long that's going to last. I checked earlier this afternoon, and Apple was definitely, they were saying that they were having issues. So that's how it is. That's what's going on. It won't download any of my spreadsheets. I can't access them, which is very inconvenient. It doesn't happen. This is the first time this has happened since pretty much I've been using Apple's iCloud service. And it's particularly limited, I think, right now to the iWork suite, which is the Numbers application, which I use for spreadsheeting. So I can't access those files. I'm hoping that I have access to them at some point. I'm hoping there's nothing majorly wrong. And like I said, I thought those things were going to, I did do the spreadsheet on my iPad, I think. And so maybe it is still my iPad, but I left my iPad at the cottage, so I can't actually check it. But none of my other computers can access that spreadsheet. So it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I will get to those emails as soon as I can to let you know what's going on. Those spreadsheets are like my lifeline to everything. As far like it's how I know what I've packed, what I haven't packed, what people have purchased and what they haven't, what's still available. So I'm hoping that everything works out in the end, and it's just a glitch accessing them, and they're not like gone, because that would be terrible. That would be terrible. ODD with Apple, I use iCloud too. Never had a trouble. I've never had a trouble until today. And I've tried accessing on multiple computers that I have, and none of them can access. And so my phone can't access them. And so I checked Apple's website, and they are saying that there are issues. I don't know if they've been fixed as far as this evening. I've kind of been all over today. Andrew is away, so he had a few things that he wanted me or needed me to pick up for him, and some errands to run over near Greensburg, which is 2 towns over from us. And so I spent part of my day doing that. I first did some shipping earlier this morning. Then I went and got my hair cut. I left it longish. It's trimmed, and I'm kind of liking it, although I'm not sure I'm not sure I want to leave it long. My hairstylist, she's like, I want to try this and see. She always tries to push me a little bit out of because normally I let my hair grow long and then the next I can't stand it and I get it chopped short. And I never actually leave it go and let it get long, um, between like for multiple cuts. It's always in between cuts it gets long, and then the next cut it goes short again. So she's like, I want to try this. I want to texture it a little bit. So it's textured in the back pretty nice. It's lighter. I love these hairstylists have these shears that they go in and they cut, but it only pulls out, parts of it. Like it texturizes things. I love those. And so she did that and it lightened up everything, and it's lighter. It still feels weird for me to go get a haircut and have long hair because every time I get a haircut it comes out shorter. So I'm like, there's that in my mind. There's this thing, it feels like there wasn't enough done to merit a haircut, right? Even though she did a lot of work to texture it and do it, it's not on her. It's just on me looking at it. I'm like, is there enough done to actually consider that a haircut? Um, so it's like, you have to do enough work to consider something worth it. And so um, she's like, and she's very good because she's like, if it's not enough for you, come back and I'll chop it short in the back and we'll go back to your normal. But I want to try and keep it, I think, long. I kind of like it long. I've had a lot of compliments on it being long. I think I need to play with it as far as styling it, because I usually like wilder hair, like either very like composed or wild. And I think when I have longer hair, I like it a little wilder. So I got to play around with it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know, but I did get a haircut today, even if it doesn't maybe look like it, because it's still long, and that's not what people are used to seeing me as either. Sandra says yes, and also released a video of the single teal pearl earrings I still have to put on the site. Nice. Hello, Anne. Thank you for joining us today. Sandra said that would be terrible to lose them. Yes, my spreadsheets, do not want to lose spreadsheets. Anne says, talk of the spreadsheet has inspired me. I don't keep track of beads, so when I get things, I might not know what they are. Maybe I'll update a spreadsheet every time I get an invoice from the live. See, that could be good. Yeah, because when we do lives, as many of you know, when we send the beads out, we pack them together. We don't, we don't name everything for you. We've named it in the live, and we hope that you record that information down. That would just be crazy amounts of work. And then if you ever need anything, generally, what I've been doing is in the top of the invoice, I let people know what date the video is, and you can always go back to our YouTube channel and replay a video from that date if you need to see something. But you can also send us an email with a picture, and we'll try to identify things from memory if we can for you. But we do get that semi-often, not very often, because people know what we do for the most part. And a lot of y'all know what you're buying because you're buying it because you like it, or taking notes or screenshots maybe when you do buy it. But spreadsheet is good, right? So you know what you get, what you got. Yeah, I'm drinking. So this is another thing today. I remembered that long ago I used to drink a lot of Perrier. And this was in high school and early college. And I always put limes in it. And I have not had that in a very long time. So I went out to the grocery store today to get groceries. That was another thing I did. After I got back from running errands for what Andrew needed me to do, then I went to the grocery store so we'd have something to eat tonight, because he can't stop on his way home because everything will be closed. And I can't stop after the live because everything is closed. So the grocery store has Perrier. What I did not realize is that Nestle at one point bought Perrier, which I didn't even know this, but it was back in 1992. I thought they bought it recently. They did not. It was back in 1992. And so the Perrier I used to drink was the Nestle brand Perrier. But recently, Perrier came out with this kind of not off-brand, it's a different version. It's called Maison Perrier. And I didn't know that. I thought they just like kind of rebranded to make it more hip or more whatever, but it's actually a different water. It is not considered mineral water like the original Perrier was, because they add minerals and electrolyte to the water. Supposedly it's still water from the south of France, from the same region of France as Perrier, but it's not exactly the same. And it does not taste the same. As much as I would like it to, it does not taste the same. So I went to the Perrier website and went to see if I can find the original, if they still make the original. They do, but they don't actually sell the original on their website anymore. And they don't sell the original to like grocery stores anymore, it seems like, or most places anymore. They say that it's mostly available in hotels, bars, and restaurants. So it's very difficult now, unless you want to spend a lot of money, to buy the original Perrier water, which is what I like. And so I've hit that, whenever when you're used to something and they change it on you, and I just realized they changed this on me today, and I had it in my head, I'm going to go get Perrier. I'm going to have that, that same feeling, that bring back that old time feeling that you sometimes get with things that you forget about, but you used to do, and now you're doing it again. Not the same. But so that's why I'm drinking this instead of my juice water today. It's not, Perrier had a very distinctive taste. I don't know if any of y'all have had it before. It had a very distinctive taste, and now it's kind of just water, liquid. It's lost a little bit of that taste. The mineral taste is not the same. And so one of those things, y'all. Okay, I got to catch up with comments probably here too. Your hair looks good. It falls nicely. That's what it did, says Ann. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Daniela says, and there is a book on Amazon that a woman created especially for us where you can log everything from your design to each bead cost. It's just amazing. That's really cool. That's good to know. Kimberly's here. Hello, Kimberly. Says, had a hidden game on the calendar, but tonight is officially the last concession. I feel like you keep saying that, but that's good. I found out that my nephew did join the championship team, or whatever they call it. They did create a team, so he's going to be playing more baseball that my mom and aunt and all of them are going to be going to. But this time, some of those games are going to be here in Ligonier, so I'll actually be able to hopefully see him play. Because all this year I've not been able to see him play because all of the games have been away. And I used to play more games down this way. So I'm glad that he will be coming back, and maybe I'll have a chance to go actually see him play, which will be nice. I think they were starting, my mom went to hockey practice or something today. I didn't realize I don't know if hockey practice starts already, but I think were on the ice today, which is kind of insane, I think. But I guess that end of baseball went right into hockey. Very strange. Hello, Suzanne. Thank you for joining us. Says horrible heat. It is horrible heat. Anne says, when I really want to know, I do go back to the video. But since I only sell once in a while, if I forget, I just call it gemstone instead of the type, LOL, right? Yeah. You mostly, I think, do the auction for animals, right? And in that case, the idea is to help the animals. I mean, the design helps. You do great work, but you don't always need to know everything, every detail, right? Let's see. And so it sounds like an S-word crystal move. They want to be more exclusive. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I think they tried. I think what I think is that Maison Perrier, this brand, is cheaper to manufacture. That's my guess. They're making it into flavored waters, even though original Perrier had lime, lemon, orange at one point. I used to drink the lime, or I'd buy it with out and put the limes in. I prefer that, but it's when you're on the go, their lime flavor was good. But yeah, they're making the original one very hard to get, and I think it's probably because it is more expensive to manufacture. They always said that it was naturally occurring carbonation, and I don't know if that's 100% true. I think they got in trouble at one point for saying that. But yeah, I don't know. But the water it doesn't taste the same. But also, here's the other thing. My sense of taste has been off lately. And I think it's because my allergies are so bad that my sense of taste and my sense of smell have been really kind of poor lately. Because this year for allergies, like my eyes are all red and I'm just like, I was scratching them today. So maybe it's not, maybe it does taste the same, but I don't think so. I think it's different. Hello, Susie. Thank you so much for joining us. Suzanne says, hockey, there's a heat advisory out. I know, but they're in the cold. They're on the ice rink. My mom was like, here's the only place you're going to be putting on a sweatshirt. And so, yeah, they were at an ice rink today, indoor ice rink, playing or practicing hockey. Strange. So they were not worried about the heat because they were indoors. Danielle says, I wrote twice a comment for you, Anne, but it's not appearing on William's screen. Check Jewelry Supply Log book by Laura Love. Nice. Susie says, don't get me started on water. Primo merged with Crystal Springs. I have 8 empty 5-gallon jugs sitting outside waiting for delivery. 2 weeks late. I'm tired of hearing tomorrow. Oh boy. When things change, sometimes it's not for the better, right? I don't know. And I don't know. I just want my Perrier back. I just want my regular. I wanted to have that throwback is what I really wanted. I'm at that age now. I'm like, things are changing. I don't like change. Normally I like change, but in my mind, they changed this because it's cheaper to manufacture and it does not taste the same. If it was cheaper and it tasted the same, I'd be more forgiving. But it's not mineral water. They can't call it mineral water like the original. So it is water with added minerals and added electrolytes. So it's not really the same. It's not really the same at all. Kimberly's looking up that book. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. Daniela says, I didn't get it because imports for me are almost impossible, but the book looks great. That's nice. So what else is going on, everybody? What are you doing? I've been complaining all day. No. There's a weird aftertaste to this water too, by the way. Not a big good solid review for that, right? But yeah, it's what else is going on for me? Oh, I stopped at Barnes and Noble today because I was in Greensburg and I haven't been in there in a long time. And so I stopped in Barnes and Noble, got myself a decaf mocha, and just kind of gave myself like 45 minutes or so just to chill out. Because we don't do much anymore. I mean, it always seems like we're doing something, but we don't do much to like, chill out. Like we don't go out to eat much anymore unless we're like away. If we're away on a work trip, then of course we go out to eat. I mean, even the last time when we were in Memphis, we got an Airbnb and we cooked. We did eat out a little bit, but we also cooked at the Airbnb. So it's one of those things that I we don't go out to eat much. We don't, we don't go to concerts. We don't generally do a lot of those things. Andrew goes to craft schools when he gets a scholarship to them, and it's not a lot of money. Then he does that, but we don't really do a lot. So today I just took a few minutes for myself and went to Barnes and Noble and just looked at some books. And I didn't actually get anything. I didn't find anything that just struck me. I try to buy books when I find something that I'm like, oh, that really hits a chord. Because if I just buy them because it sounds okay, I'm not going to read it. I already know that about myself. I have a lot of books around here that sounded okay and semi-interesting, and then I've never read them. And I really do. I have no business being in Barnes and Noble because I really have a lot of books around that I've not read yet. But I was like, maybe something will jump out at me and I'll be really interested in it and I'll go and do that. So it was nice just to spend time looking and taking a downtime moment. Then I came home and unloaded the groceries and kind of put them away a little bit. And I didn't have much time in between there, but I sat with the cats for a little bit and gave them some attention because they've not been getting a ton of attention with Andrew being away and me being away most of the days. So I gave them a little attention, and then I sat down and I meditated. I set a timer for 20 minutes. And of that 20 minutes, the cats probably like I have product in my hair that smells like coconut and like it's like a coconut smell. And so of the 20 minutes that I was trying to meditate, Gertie kept coming up and biting my hair and trying to play with me for about 10 of those minutes. So I got to about 10 minutes of a little bit of a meditation. I'm trying to meditate more often because there is something in me that has been telling me that I need to meditate. And I keep hearing these things and seeing people talk about it and hearing people talk about doing it and how good it is for you and how it can really help. And I feel like that if the universe is giving me that signal, that I should listen to it, right? I've been ignoring it a lot, and I feel like the universe is telling me to meditate. So I've been trying to meditate. Sometimes I do it right as I talked about how, I usually sit in the car whenever I get to a location. So when I go up to do packing and shipping in the mornings, sometimes it's afternoons, early afternoons, I go up and I'll usually turn off the car and I'll sit there for about 10 minutes and meditate. And right now it's been a little bit hot. So I have not been doing that necessarily there. So today I did it just before the live. And that is what I did just before I got on here with all of you. Let's see here. Daniela was ill. My back spine gave me a lot of pain, and the ambulance have to come today, and they gave me intravenous painkillers. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to hear that. That's no good. Hopefully you get that figured out and then you figure out what is going on. Is that something you deal with a lot? I know my mom, she has sometimes some back issues. And I know that's in my family. My one grandmother also used to have like knee and hip issues as well. So I'm trying to take care of myself because I feel my one hip, I get sciatica a lot. And so that's one thing that we'll see if tomorrow is the day, but I talked to my chiropractor now about that. And he definitely said my one hip is like, I think he said it's turned in. I think that's the word he used, or rounded in or something like that. So there's definitely an issue there. Sandra says, I had to move to my computer. My iPhone is freezing. Oh no. Is it getting too hot? I know mine. I was out doing things today and my phone screen kept going super, super dark. And it will do that. It's usually always, when I'm in direct sunlight and I need to be able to see the screen, is when it happens, but it goes dark because the phone gets too hot and it reduces its power consumption by making the screen darker. But it's always because it's in direct sunlight when you need the screen to be brighter. But yeah, Angela's self-care is, my thing is going, self-care is good for you. Yeah, it is. It's something I think that people should do, and you should make time for it. I should make time for it. I'm trying to take my own advice. Sorry, I dropped my marker. I often have a marker or something in my hands when I do the lives for fidgetness. So that's, yeah, anyway. Daniel says, I go out to take nature photography. That's my way of meditation. You connect with here and now, and there's nothing else that matters. Yes, that is very good as well. I find that if I like going out into nature. I grew up in a lot of nature. Where I grew up, we had a little lake in our backyard. We had fields around us. We barely had any neighbors. The fields were owned by people who were never around. In a lot of cases, we or the neighbors would cut the fields to keep them from being too wild, and we could play in them as kids, and we'd ride bikes and things through them. At one point, we had a four-wheeler, and we'd run that through it. My mom actually had a motorcycle when she was younger and traded that so that we could have a four-wheeler at one point because we didn't have a lot of money. But she had that, and she traded that for us kids. So we would do that and ride around in the fields and stuff. And I love, connecting with nature. I love being in the woods. My grandparents had property that they were given when an old man that they used to take care of passed away. He left them his property because he had no other family or family that cared about him, and my grandparents actually took care of him, so he left them his property, and it was a lot of woodland. And growing up, we used to be in the woods all the time, my brother and I, with my grandmother, and we would walk around in the woods and we would play in the woods. And so connecting with nature is definitely one of those things for me that is very calming. I try though to leave, like I can't help taking pictures most of the time too, but I find that when I try to take pictures, I focus more on trying to find good pictures than actually connecting with what's there and just connecting with nature. So I have been trying when I go out on walks in nature lately, anytime I do it, I've been trying to put my phone away and not take a camera or anything like that and just kind of be there. It's hard for me because when I see something pretty, I want to share it with all of you. And I want to share it and I want to take a picture of it and I want to capture it. But I'm trying to be better about just allowing myself to be in the present moment and not having to share it with the whole world. Because, it's all come down to this idea that Andrew and I have been talking about. Like, for a long time, we were trying to, what they call empire build. And we were trying to build up Allegory Gallery to be this amazing empire of things. And we would have people working and running it with us. And then we realized at one point that, we don't have kids other than our cats, but we have no kids to leave this to. My niece and nephew are not really interested in running a bead store or a bead empire. They are doing other things and their lives are going in other ways. And so, and who knows what will change as they get older and maybe hang out more with us and do things. You never know. But at this point, it's kind of like, what are we doing? So we're trying to simplify a little bit more and stop on that idea of having to build up this big thing. And we're just trying to simplify, make our lives a little easier on us, take some of the pressure off, and also, make time for what we like to do. right? And so part of that is also the idea and realizing, like, I take a ton of pictures, a ton, not only for the business, but also like of our flowers and our cats and our pets and um, just of everyday moments. I take a lot of pictures, and I get that, I think, from my grandmother. She used to always have a camera around when the family was around. And what I've realized is, yes, I do in some ways regret not taking more sometimes, like when Paolo and Babette passed. I wish I had more videos of them, of course. I wish I had more pictures of them, and would have taken more time to do some of that. But also, I don't look at most of my pictures all that often, truthfully. I have a very large digital library, um, and I look back on some of them. There is no way I can look back on everything. And sometimes it's nice to compare like previous year's flowers to this year's, but I don't really do that. I don't have time to do that. Um, And so I'm realizing that, all these pictures that I want to take to show people or to post on social media, or a lot of it is just about that, that dopamine hit of posting things. Um, and so I'm trying to get that in my brain that I don't need to, be the documenter of everything. I can walk through the woods, see some pretty things, and not have to take a picture of it to remember it later. I can just maybe remember it later or not, right? There are pictures I've taken that I do not remember taking, and sometimes that's nice. But if I don't remember taking it, that also means I was not in the moment enough to remember taking it. And so I missed that moment, and I'm reliving that moment, but it's not really reliving the moment. It's just seeing something that I don't remember. So I'm trying to, convince myself sometimes, because I'm a big tech nerd. I love technology, but I'm trying to convince myself that I don't need it all. Um, and it's not something that I have to have. Hello, Teresa. Thank you for joining in. Um, and says, I like that. Enjoy life now. Yeah, I'm trying to be better about it. Trying to be better about it. Pictures are awesome, but yet you don't have to show them to everyone. They are for oneself mostly, says Daniela. Yeah, and that's true. And I'm very thankful that I have my grandmother's photos. I am the keeper of my grandmother's photos, and I have her whole collection. It's sitting like right across the room from me. They're on shelves, and I have her pretty much all of the photos she's taken. She organized them into albums, and I'm very thankful for them because I can look back and see my childhood. I can look back and see things that we did as a family together, but that to me is different. I'm not going to have kids that are going to look back on family times. Um, we don't even get a chance to get together with our family that much. We're so busy, and that's what part of this is all about, is trying to, kind of calm down a little bit and not be so busy and so away from everybody else, and trying to be able to make some time to do some of those things together, because that's what's important, right? Getting together with your friends, getting together with your family, having that time, that's what is that makes life what it is. Or having time for your pets, even. It's not always about people, and sometimes it's taking time just for yourself. So that's what we're trying to do, and that's kind of where we're at in life right now, trying to find that balance and um, err more toward giving ourselves a little bit of grace, more than we have lately. Um, Daniela says, I have my grandmom's and my mom's photos as well. Now I have my kids and my grandkids as well. And let me tell you, I love when I look at some of the photos and remember where I took them, um, the moment and the sensation of finding a certain bird, etc. Yeah, if you can be in the moment while you're also taking the photos, that's great. I find myself going on autopilot and taking photos and not even remembering it. And that's not where I want to be. And I think it's like I said, when you have kids and you're passing something down to someone else, I think that's important. But like I said, we have nieces and nephews, and they're not going to necessarily care about the flower pictures I took. Uncle Will's flower pictures, it's just not going to be it's not going to be something they care about, because they weren't here. It's not like they were here and we were planting flowers together. Like, I planted flowers with my grandmother, and so when I see pictures of her flowers, even if they're ones I didn't help her plant, it brings back that memory of that. But my nieces and nephews, we don't plant flowers together, so the pictures of my flowers mean nothing. So to me, there's something, but do I need to take pictures of them every single year and just not, and instead of just enjoying them? Probably not. I probably could spend a little bit more time just enjoying the fact that they're there, instead of like, oh, I got to get a picture of this. I got to document this. Anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at. Anyway, everyone, how is everyone else doing? It's a little bit on the low side of count today. Please hit the share button if you haven't already. Share this on your timeline. Let people know. I've not gotten a chance to share because I kind of jumped in here right, and didn't put up should have put up a banner today, but it's all right. It's okay. Hello, Vicky. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Anna. Thanks for joining us. Look, all these people jumping in now. Danielle says, but mostly it's just sitting down between nature, listening, smelling, and I love it. I post my flowers, animals, birds on a page. Gathers world's records just for you to know. Nice. That's nice. Yeah. Thank you all for joining me today. We're going to look at some stuff today. Hopefully you like it. But it's been nice just to kind of sit and chat today. I've not been in a chatty mood lately. I've been kind of introspective, very introspective lately. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And I don't know if that's the mood out there. But sometimes I think when the world feels like, it's at its craziest to me, I go inward. And I've kind of always been like that. And so I kind of have been ignoring a lot of news and a lot of things the past few days. Like, I'm still trying, like, I look at the headlines in the evenings. Sometimes I'll read an article. Sometimes I just look at the headlines just to get an idea of what's happening out there. But for the most part, I've been very introspective. I've been reading a lot of people's teachings on different things, like Deepak Chopra and who's the other one? Neville Goddard, and why can't I think of the other one? Eckhart Tolle. I've been reading kind of a lot of that kind of thing and listening to a lot of those things on YouTube, and just kind of, it's good to think about philosophies and who we are and what makes us us. And Anna says news is heavy. Yeah, news is heavy. And, I'm not one of those people to say necessarily like ignore it all. Like, I feel like that feels what's the word? Like, I don't want to be ignorant of things, of what's going on. But at the same time, I can only handle so much of that. I'm definitely an empath. I definitely take on emotions of other people when they're around me, and watching too much news or reading too much about what's going on, it does me in. And I think sometimes the things we focus on most are the things we bring into our world the most. And I'm trying not to bring a lot of that into my world. We fight our own ways against these things. And I think everyone does and everyone should. But at the same time, as Anna said, protect your peace, right? I think what you focus on is what you get more of. I do believe that. And I mean, that has been shown in, they talk about manifestation, but they also have shown that in neuroscience, where your brain starts sorting and finding the things in the world that you think about and read about and do the most of. Um, so the more, it's like when you learn a new word and then you see that word everywhere, your brain has the ability to focus those things out and find them. And or when you buy a new car and you suddenly see that car everywhere or that color of car everywhere, it's a thing. I forget what the actual term is called, but it's a neuroscience thing, and it's a true mechanism of your brain. It's a filtering mechanism. And so the more you look for something and dwell on something, the more it's going to bring that. Your brain is going to see that and bring it into your world. Um, and so sometimes when the news gets really heavy, as much as um, it feels almost wrong to not pay attention to what's going on. Sometimes I just have to look at something else. And so I've been very introspective lately. And like I said, I've been reading a lot about different philosophies and like Zen Buddhism and just all these different things. Like I'm not necessarily a religious person, but different interpretations of the Bible I've been taking a look at, and all these different things that I've been finding really interesting lately. Anna says, "Did you get some sun, William? Maybe your shirt bringing out the rosy." I got a little bit today, probably. Um, I was running some errands for Andrew, and one of them was outside, and I did not know that. So I was outside a little longer than I normally am in this kind of heat, and there was no shade. So I probably did get a little bit, not too much. And also the shirt does not help for sure. Because it is that same color. So it is bringing out the color a little extra today. And it says that looks refreshing. Yes, that's I talked about this earlier before you came on about Perrier, and they've changed Perrier, and I'm not happy about it, but it is refreshing. It's not the same, but it is a refreshing drink. Tori says, I listen to a lot of medicine music on YouTube. What is medicine music? I don't know what that means. Danielle says, being 2 weeks in Switzerland, it was nice to see people around not caring a lot about any of the ugly war news. They are enjoying mostly their families and working a lot. Yeah, I hate to be like, I think we are so trained as adults that we have to, that we feel like, we're kind of trained as adults to feel like we need to always know what's going on in the world. And I think, like I've read that, I think it's that in 1 week, we are exposed now to as much, in just 1 week, I think it's 1 week, we are exposed to as much news and events and, a bombardment of things that I think it was 50 or 75 years ago, it would have been their whole life. And, or maybe it's in a year. I can't remember. It's something like that. At the low end, 1 week equals a year of your life. At the high end, 1 week equals to a whole lifetime of the news that you would get about everything. And, I think technology is evolving so quickly, and we evolutionarily, is that a word? I think it makes sense if it's not. Evolutionarily, we have not caught up to that. Our brains cannot possibly process all the news. So, just 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, the news that you watched was like one station on TV or one station on the radio that you listened to, and it was about what's going on generally locally. Or if it was globally, it was what that one station wanted to focus on globally, right? And so now we are inundated with things from all over. I mean, you can get news and you can get reports, whether they're true, whether they're not. That's another thing. We have to sort out what is true, what isn't true. And we can get this from anywhere. And we do, because, you know, you're always kind of brought up as a kid that as you grow into an adult, you're supposed to know what's happening in current events. It's supposed to be important to know what's happening in current events. But knowing what happened in current events now is very, very different than knowing what happened in current events 50, 60 years ago, even 20, 30 years ago. It's very different. And so I think that taking time out and telling ourselves it's okay to not focus on everything all the time is important, because we can't, I don't think we are built yet to deal with it all. I think it's overwhelming, and I think it is mentally straining. And so I try to stay up with certain current events. I do my best when I can, but I also think, as Daniela said, and as she saw people doing, sometimes it's best to enjoy your family, enjoy your personal space, even with terrible things going on. You know, I think that building the small connections around you is very important. And so it's kind of just like what we do here. I'm talking with you all, and we're building connections here by chatting and commenting and talking to each other. We could all be watching the news right now instead. But building these connections in whatever way we can, I think, is what helps protect us. It helps, you know, galvanize us a little bit. It helps create strength with one another. And so, yeah, it's I think it's important. And like I said, we're in a whole different world right now, and we've not, in the evolutionary time span, we've not caught up with ways to cope, I think, with everything that we have been producing and being able to view. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it, if anyone cared, really. Let's see. Daniela says, I know this goes on the philosophical side, but there is an essay, A Meditation on Technique, by Ortega and Gasset. It explores the relationship between technique and human existence. That's interesting, and it's very updated. Nice. I'll have to check that out, maybe. Terry says, medicine music is music that lifts you up. It's mostly indigenous people who sing medicine music. That's awesome. I'll have to look into that. Sandra says, amen to that. Community connection. Yeah, you know, I don't think it's wrong to sometimes put your blinders on a little bit. Because what do blinders do? Sometimes they help you focus, you know, like they put them on the horses so that the horses can focus and not get spooked by anything going on. And I think sometimes it's okay for us to do that too, if it keeps our inner peace a little better, and it allows us to see what's important to us, because we can spend all of our time looking at things that, you know, we have some say in, but not always a lot of say in, and we can do the work. I think it's still very important to do the work to contribute to the whole, absolutely. But I think we also have to be able to, you know, as they say, take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of others. And that's one of the hardest things for me, because I am one of those people that I like to help everybody else and I forget about myself. I've always been that way. Like, I will come to the aid of anybody I possibly can, and it makes me feel good to help people. But I also sometimes will wear myself completely out helping other people, and not getting always a lot in return because I go too far. And so I think sometimes, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing it's okay. It's okay to be ignorant of certain things from time to time. And it's okay to not know everything if that means that you can connect to people and, form connections and take time and make time for that. Right? Anyway, that's my talk for today, my hour-long talk. Yeah. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Anybody still out there? Danielle says, it is okay to be selfish from time to time. I think so. I think so. The more I read about different philosophies and from around the world, the more I realize that a lot of it has to do with the self, right? And being selfish is not necessarily a bad thing. It's bad when that's all you're concerned about, maybe. But, you do have to take care of yourself. And to do that, sometimes you have to be selfish. So that's what, and the more you take care of yourself, I think the more you can help others. Hey, Susie. And, I was listening to this talk, and the person was talking about how, to make yourself like other people to help them is usually against the flow of things. It usually doesn't work. So when you have people around you who are sick, and the way they said it pretty much is, you can never make yourself sick enough to help those who are sick. You can never make yourself poor enough to help those who are poor. It's the idea that you kind of have to be healthy to be able to help sick people, right? To be able to give them the help they need and have the energy that you need to help them. You have to allow yourself to be healthy, and then you can help lift them up. If you're poor, you can't help other people who are poor. And that really hit me growing up that way, because we grew up without a lot of money. We talk about this a lot. And you sometimes get in that mindset that, that you feel guilty if you make money. You feel guilty if you do better than your parents. I've talked about this a little bit. I talked with my mom about this too. How I feel guilty sometimes with, if I do better than she was doing, except she wants me to. Like, this is the thing I have to remember. She wants me to do better than her, but I have to get rid of that generational guilt of doing better. And you can't help people who are on the same level as you. If you want to help them, you have to help yourself get to the next level so you can help them. And as somebody who tries to help people, it kind of hit me really hard. And I think about that now, that you have to invest the time in you so that you can help them. You can't help people on the same level as you. You can share things, you can share stories, you can commiserate, but is that helping, or is that prolonging? And that's what I'm trying to, you figure that out. And it's when you are able to step above where you were, that you were able to help lift up people who were at that level with you. And to me, as somebody who, I feel guilty if I'm doing better than the people I love, it was a hard thing, but it makes sense. And I have to get that in my head. It makes sense. Susie says, we have to take care of ourselves, but I'm so concerned what's happening in our country these days. Don't know what to do or reconcile everything. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I think that's where a lot of this introspective stuff that I'm doing is coming from, because it is not easy to figure all of that out. Um, and it's difficult. It is. But there's so much that you can do in the world, but you can only do it from a place where you feel solid about you, and that's what I'm learning. Because you can run yourself ragged, you can make yourself sick trying to help. Um, so if you don't start off from a good base, or you're trying to, you can't take people who are with you and drag everybody up, right? It just doesn't work that way. And I've seen that in my own life. But once you get yourself a little bit healthier, or a little bit more secure, or a little bit, more stable than you were before, then you can help them. Then you can show them how you've done it. Then you can, guide people and help people. And really, to me, sometimes that seems very selfish, and it kind of is, but it's how everything is set up, right? You don't you don't become a teacher if you don't know more than the people you're teaching, right? You hope to inspire people as a teacher because you have learned more, and you have things now to show them and to guide them. And so I don't know why it's so difficult to think about this. For me, it's difficult to think about this in money, because I have this trauma with money, as far as, growing up the way we did, that money was hard, and things are always, it's not easy to make money. And so um, I am trying, it's hard for me to think about myself as having a lot of money at any point, because to me that's like, ooh, I should be I should be giving that to other people. I should letting them get the money. I don't need, you know, but if we had a lot, I know, like, if Andrew and I had a lot of money, we would do a lot of good things with it. Because that's just the people we are. And we could be able to help a lot of people. Um, and so it's getting into that mentality of, yes, being a little bit more selfish, but in the grand scheme of things, it's to better ourselves so that we can better help other people in whatever way that is. Um, Tanya says, "Oof, you've been working hard on yourself, William. Good for you. Thank you." Anna says, "You have to give the hand up when you have footing. It's a lesson, right?" Yeah, but you have to get to that footing, and you have to be okay with giving yourself that. And that's what's sometimes really hard. I love helping people. It's one of my favorite things. If I can help somebody, I love doing it. But also, if I'm too busy helping other people to ever get myself to the next level, then I can't help more people, right? And so that's, I have a hard time, because I think a lot of things, um, sometimes I think I'm being too selfish, but sometimes I think in reality, maybe I'm not enough. It's weird, right? Anyway, y'all didn't come in here for a talk on my philosophy on life, but I'm glad you're all here, and I thank you for hanging out, and some of you with commenting and adding to the conversation, because I think it's important. I know you don't come here necessarily for that, but um, I hope that it helps people think. And I know a lot of you may be past this point in your lives, like you've already gone through this, you've already thought about this, you're already on a different level than this. But I hope, again, being the person who ever wants to help everybody else, I hope that something I say sometimes will strike a chord in somebody, and maybe just give them that extra push to do other things, and to maybe, it might light a fire in somebody to research something, or know it's okay to take time for yourself. um, yeah, everything we do, I think Andrew and I are both like this. Everything we do is often focused on how it can help the world or how it can help other people who aren't as fortunate as us, because we consider ourselves, very fortunate to be able to do what we're doing. And we're so grateful for all of you out there who help us do that. But at the same time, um, sometimes sometimes I feel guilty for having what we have, even though we worked exceptionally hard for it. Because I know there are so many people who would love to do it and love to do what we do and make a living at doing what we do. It's not easy, but sometimes I feel guilty about it, and I'm trying to get over that, because I think we have helped a lot of people along the way, and I think we have inspired a lot of people along the way, and I'm trying to flip my mentality a little bit about all of that. And instead of feeling guilty, being okay with being a little selfish and knowing that it's because of that that we've been able to help other people. Sandra says, you are not selfish enough, I think. if you have more or make more, you can give more. I think that's very true. I think that's very true. And that's what we would do. If we won the lottery, we talk about there would be signs. There would be a lot of signs and a lot of happy people. A lot of people who have had a rough time being creators and makers, and we would be able to give so much support, and we would not just run off with our money and go live on an island by ourselves. Like, that's not the way we are. We would help so many people, and we would do so many fun things just for the sheer joy of helping. I find joy in helping and making people's lives easier. And so, anyway. Denia says, at almost 65 and having helped a lot of people, I finally found out that many of the people I helped didn't really want help. So in the end, I started listening and seeing if they wanted help. That's another thing. That especially was the case when I was younger. When I was younger and making more money, I will never forget. We used to go out, and it's something as simple as buying drinks for friends. We used to go out, and I had money to spend. When I was in New York, I was making more money, and I had free money. We would go out much more often. This is before I knew Andrew too. And we'd get out as friends, and I'd buy drinks for people. I'd buy dinner for people. And at one point, somebody told me they refused my drink, and I was like, what? Like, I was a little bit insulted. And they told me, they said, maybe you don't realize this, but this makes me feel like I owe you something. And it never hit me. The whole time I was doing it, because I was just doing it because I could, and it made people feel good, I thought. And it made me feel good to provide for people and my friends. But once they told me that, I could see how, sometimes things like that do make people feel like they owe you something, and that was never my intention. It was 100% always a gift. Like, I never expected anything for it. It was just all because we were having a good time. We were out. I'd buy drinks, I'd buy food, whatever. But and I think, part of that, I got really caught up on that. And I don't know if I should have, because for the most part, people understood where I was coming from. This person was more new to the friend group, and they weren't used to that. A lot of my friends were like this, by the way. We would just trade off buying drinks for each other, buying food for each other. It was just kind of a community thing. We just did that. But when new people would enter, I could see how it could be, looked at like that. And so, I realized that some people didn't want that help. They didn't want it. And, I think I got really caught up on that, and I kind of pulled back a lot on doing that then. And I don't know that I should have, because I think it's in some ways that ended my, that free flow of energy. I used to have a very free flow of energy about money. And when that all happened, I started really thinking more about money and lack of money in some people, and you know, the balance that can come with money between people. And it kind of got me tripped up a little bit. And if you believe in manifestation and all that, that's not the place you want to be at, right? You want that to free flow. You want it just to keep coming. You want to believe there's always more and there's enough for everybody. And but I do, a lot of my concerns with money, um, that I had gotten over, I think, from growing up the way I did, and a lot of concerns about doing better than other people and all that started happening around that point. But it is true also that I think, yeah, sometimes people don't want it, and you don't want to force help on people. People have to be ready for it, and people have to want it. Um, Donna is here. Hello, Donna. Thank you for joining us. Um, let's see. Susan has joined us. Hello, Susan. Thank you for joining in too. Susan says, Danielle, that is so true. I hope you are feeling better too. Um, Susan says, I am late. I was waiting for my iPad to charge. That's okay. I'm just talking about personal philosophies for pretty much the whole time, which, sorry if that's, I know that's not what people come here for, but I hope that I like doing it, and it's one way that I connect with y'all out there, and I like to see your viewpoints on things, because it always gives me things to think about, whether you agree with me or don't agree with me. That's okay. That's what it's about, right? But I hope something I say does help people out there, and I hope to see things that you all think that helps me think about different things too. Anna says, yes, that can awaken a sense of somehow being inadequate. Yeah, I think that's where that was coming from. Um, and I think, in my own personal life, I think inadequacy, because I have major issues with that sometimes, that imposter syndrome and inadequacy and all that. I think that when you feel that kind of guilt about things, or that kind of need to pay someone back even though they weren't asking for, like, I think that comes from a lot of that. And I think, my friends and I were at that point pretty secure in ourselves, at least maybe not always in ourselves, but in our friendship. And so, like I said, it was when new people came in and they didn't have that base that we had together. But like, my friends and I, we were very secure in our friendship. It was like, if one of us needed something, we just covered it. Like, it wasn't an issue. Um, but other people were not secure in their, friendship with us sometimes, because they were newer, and, we would welcome people in all the time. And for us, I think because we already had that bond, it was kind of, when we opened up our group to somebody, it was kind of like we said, helping people up, or helping people, find a friend group. And we wanted to welcome people 100%, and give them, everything that came with that. But I think some people aren't ready for that all the time. I know I've been in situations where people have offered me things, and I wasn't ready to receive it yet, because I didn't feel that, even though they did. And so, that gave me pause. But I also think that there is something to be said for being generous and not concerning yourself, with some of that. You know, um, you don't ever want to force anything on anyone, but I don't think you also want to give up your generosity, because some people may not be able to accept it. Sometimes you just have to realize those people aren't ready, but you can't give up who you are and the way you are and the things that make you you. It's a very complex issue sometimes, I think, more complex than it's more complex the more you think about it, right? I think is how it is. Anna says, yes, on all those points. Same with me. Let's see here. Susan says, really, my iPad was really low. I had to let it charge. Kimberly says, I love the feelings being shared. I like it. I would love to have a channel where I just talked about these things. And I don't know if that may be something I do someday. I think, I think I would have liked to hear some of this stuff when I was younger. And in some instances I did. And I find that I'm returning to a lot of things that I did start to listen to when I was younger, but didn't fully comprehend. And as with life experience, I'm more comprehending them now. I'm more getting into them now. I'm more able to understand them, and the weight that comes with some of them. Anyway, yeah. Let's look at some beads, though, right? Danielle says, I love the conversation today. And if you think about all of us not being in the same country, it's even more nutritious, right? Yeah, we're not in the same country. We're not in the same state. We're not in the same country. Some of us are all over the place. It's amazing that we can come together and connect like this. And, I do feel like, obviously you all watch us, some of you almost every day, because you feel a connection, right? You support us, you watch us, you purchase from us because there's a connection and there's something that ties us all together. Sometimes it's these vibes that we have. Sometimes it's these feelings. Sometimes it's the way that we talk or the way that we all do things. But when we say this is a family, that's what we mean. This is a family. We have a connection that we have chosen and we resonate with. We've chosen to be together, and that's so amazing. And as much as we are bombarded with things from all over the world, there's also this amazing ability to connect and be very personable or personal with each other, through all these devices and through all this. Let's see, this hits home, says Angela. Sometimes I'm amazed how thinking is so unique. I think I am so unique living in Trumplandia, right? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I can say, and we try not to do too much of it because we don't want to get too political. But, anyway, I won't get into too much. Donna says, I agree, William. Thank you. Sandra said, just went out to feed the birds and they were hungry earlier, but it was too hot. Yeah, my mom does a lot of bird feeding. My mom and aunt both. But my mom, she refills her feeders multiple times a day, sometimes here in the summer, or in the winter, especially when it's really cold. But yeah, it's a good thing to be able to do that. My mom, my brother and sister-in-law got my mom one of those little bird cameras. So there's like a feeder with a camera in it, and she can see all the birds and all that stuff. Trey says, this is truly a family. I always feel wanted by everyone. Yeah, I think that's super, super important. Some people don't believe that. Some businesses don't believe that. And, no matter how much we grow, I don't think we'll ever lose that. I think it's what makes us want to do what we do. We want to be connected to our people. We want to know you. We want to, have these conversations, and we want to know about your life. And no matter how big, like, we could grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And I would still want to do these lives and talk with the people who are out there. I would still want to, know the names of your pets and get to know people and what they do and their professions and all of that. It's just, it's what makes this meaningful. It's what makes what we do meaningful. Like I have a good time with with playing with the beads and the gemstones and the energies from them and all that. But truly, for me, what makes having a small business, the reason I've always wanted a small business, is because we get to know you, and we get to hang out with you, and we get to you know, interact and talk about things and kind of reach for deeper levels than some large corporations get to do. And I think that's kind of amazing. Let's see. Daniela says, you are right, Teresa. It's nice to be able to chat and see that we matter to the rest of the group. It is. It really is. And let's see here. Anna says, it's a reminder that we all have more in common than we know. We are more alike than different. It's true. We are very much more alike. Years and years and years and years and hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. People are more alike than they are different, right? For hundreds of thousands of years, we had to support one another in tribes, in groups. And it's just recently that we feel like we can do it all on our own as individuals, right? Evolutionary wise, we worked together. We did things together. We were more alike than we were different. And it's weird to me, I think, sometimes to think about how we decide to separate ourselves and for what reason we separate ourselves. And it's all wild. Like, I don't understand it all. I don't understand it all. Teresa says, I love the beads, but chat is one of my favorites. Me too. Angela says, oh yes, we did come for this opportunity. Community is important. It is. It really is. Okay. If I don't do some bead selling, though, we're not going to be able to pay the bills to continue having this business. So let me flip this camera around. As much as I would love just to keep chatting all night, because I could, I always also worry about getting myself in trouble sometimes. Because, we talk about all these different things, and I never know what might offend some people. Like, I like to think that we are all close enough that I'm not going to accidentally offend somebody, because you all know I come from a place of caring and all that. But you never know. You never know what somebody might latch on to. And so sometimes I get very concerned when I do talk like this, because I don't want to be too, like, I can be out there for some things. It's definitely some of my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs and all that can be a little bit out there. I don't like to offend people by saying, too much that I'm not religious, because I have nothing against all of that. I'm just not one of those people. I'm a spiritual person, but I don't get into all that too much because I don't want to offend anybody. But yeah, I would rather, this is what's fun for me. This connection is what's important to me. We always say that, we sell beads because we have to make money to make a living and keep things going. But if we could just sit here and do this, if we won the lottery, which I'm going to be playing the Powerball, so wish us all luck. But if we won the lottery, I would still do these. Even if we didn't have to sell a thing, I would still get on these lives and hang out with people, because that's what's important. Of course, we would also probably visit more people in person, because we would have the ability to do that. We'd make a round trip around the country, around the world, to visit people, if we won a lot of money. But I would still do these because this is what's fun for me. Susan says, William, are you in bear country? They like bird feeders. Yes. So very oftentimes our neighbors around here will talk about how the bears have attacked their feeders. When we were living out in the apartment, renting from my aunt, when we first moved here, we lived on the second floor, and there was an outside staircase going up to the balcony, the porch that we had, and we had a bird feeder up there. And one evening, a bear came up the stairs and demolished our bird feeder on the second floor outside, right outside our kitchen door. We didn't see it at that time, but we awoke to a destroyed feeder, and the only thing that could have done that would be a bear. And so, yes, we're definitely in a bear country, where they can definitely get into the bird feeders. My aunt, she has a log cabin, and she has some big sliding, like the big sliding doors on the one side of her house that go out to the porch. And the bear sometimes would grab the feeder in the yard and walk up onto the porch, and she could like see the bears looking in her doors. It's kind of freaky, but she has a lot of dogs, and they do help keep the bear away, because they scare the bears away. Andrew will be wondering what we've been doing. I know, but he's away. He's not. He's not worried about what we're doing right now. I think. I hope. Um, you know, I don't know when he's coming home tonight. He didn't let me know, so I don't know how long he's going to be down at Touchstone. But he's pulling a late night, so I think it's okay. I don't think I'll get in too much trouble. Kimberly says, if you ever say anything even remotely offensive, I would tell you. Good. Yeah, I hope so. But I try not to. Like I do work hard trying to express myself as these are my thoughts, right? And I don't expect anybody else to think things the way that I do. Um, and that's how I've always been. And I think that's one of those things. I think if we did a lot more of that, the world would be, calmer. Like you can have your thoughts, you just don't expect anybody else to think the way you do, and just let people think the way they want to think, and let's not hurt each other. That's, I mean, how hard is that, right? Don't hurt other people. Let them have their thoughts. You can have yours, and try to be cordial to everybody. What I don't understand why that's so hard. Like I know there are a lot of people who do not like, for example, that we are gay, or that, that we live together or whatever. But if they see me on the street and they say hi to me, all right, you may not like what I'm doing, but we can still be cordial. We don't have to, you don't have to approve of my life, but you should let me live my life. And so that's kind of how I think about things. And when I talk about all this stuff, I try to make it, pretty well known, I hope, that I don't expect anyone else to, think the way I think. Let's see, what am I going to, RNW. That's going to be our code for today. Lot numbers RNW, Random Night with William. It has certainly been random. Susan says, no worries, William. Don't worry about being offensive. And I'm somebody who constantly worries about offending anyone. Me too. That's my thing. I constantly worry that something I'm going to say is going to hurt someone else, or get somebody all riled up, because I don't like confrontation. I'm not good with confrontation. I used to be very good with confrontation. And then I worked in customer service, and then I got really terrible with confrontation. Like my mom, when I was younger, my mom would be the person who put me on the phone with the customer service rep if she needed to get something done. Like I was that person, that I was the annoying person that was like, I just need to speak to your manager because you can't help me. Like I was never mean, but I was matter of fact. And then I worked in customer service, and now I have a very hard time doing that. Even though, like I said, I was never trying to be mean or offensive. I would take it from that point of view that I'm obviously not getting what I need here. Can you pass me on to somebody who can help me? But now it's so hard for me to do that. And it's kind of the same thing when the person told me about me buying things was making them feel like they owed me something, it set me in a different pattern. And in some ways, I lost a little bit of myself, you know, and it set me back actually in some ways. But I can also understand more about other people because of it. So it's a two-way street, I guess. Kimberly says, I look at y'all as some of my best friends, and I know, oops, and I know we have never met in person, but I know more about you than I do most people I met in person, right? It's true. It's true. Terry says, I am a spiritual card reader. So many more people are coming to me for readings because of what is happening in the world. That's good. I don't get into my too much into my metaphysical and those kind of thoughts. But I definitely am somebody, I believe in manifestation now. The more I read about things, the more I understand about it, even if it's from a science standpoint, it's backed up by a lot of things. Um, and I truly believe that some people have different ways of connecting with the world and with things and vibrations around us. And so the whole spiritual card reading thing and tarot and all that kind of whatever it is, I believe that some people are very in touch with a lot of that. Um, and I believe it's all about energy and the energy around us. And um, they're starting to. I read a lot of science articles, and sorry, I shouldn't have turned the camera because you're looking at nothing. Um, but I read a lot of scientific articles, and they are starting to talk about now how, how there's more in space. Like most of space is filled up with stuff that we don't know what it is. Um, and they're starting to talk about how consciousness might be like just consciousness in general might be part of what that is, and how we are all tapped into this I don't want to call it a blanket, but this pervasive stuff, and that might be where consciousness comes from. And so if that's the case, then why can't it be that some people are tapped in a different way, or some people are more attached to that, or have a higher degree of um, relationship, a higher degree of a relationship to that? You never know. And I'm glad that people are opening up to that, because I think that's important too. And it says customer service skills, right? Exactly. Um, your self-esteem sometimes. And says, I expect people to know that I'm coming from a kind place. I will apologize for mistakes. If they don't give me grace, I don't worry about their opinion. I aspire to being like you, Anne, because I am one of those people, like, I do expect people to know that I'm coming from a kind place. I hope people understand that, especially if they know me at all. And I do apologize if I make a mistake most of the time. I don't generally have a problem saying I'm sorry, unless it's somebody really close to me. Then sometimes it's hard when there's so much tied up. But out in the world, I've been getting better with just, being sorry. Sometimes I'm too sorry, which is that last part. If they don't give me grace, I don't worry about their opinion. I have a hard time yet with that. I'm getting better, but if they don't give me grace, I usually harp on myself about it for a lot longer than I need to, instead of realizing like they are them, I am me. They have different world reactions. But something that has helped me with that a little bit is I really shouldn't have turned the camera yet, is really talking about, I once read this other story or article that talked about, like, imagine your world, your brain, your imagination, everything you're thinking, all the things you've imagined in your life, the way you see things, the way you view things, the way you experience things. Um, so there's all of that in you. But imagine every time you meet someone on the street, they have this complete world just like you do going on. And all we see is this little tiny, tiny, tiny portion of it, when they say something to us or when they interact with us, we're not only not seeing how they view everything, we're coloring the way they are reacting through the way we see things. So everyone's walking around. I kind of picture it in my mind as these, like the chat bubbles, but I kind of picture it as like they have this whole bubble floating above them of how they see everything. And all we're seeing is them through our lens. And that kind of helps me keep things in perspective as far as when somebody now kind of doesn't like what I say or they have a problem with me, I'm getting very much better about just letting it go, because that's they have their own world, they have their own reasons for reacting that way. But it's still difficult for me. Susan says, I'm conflicted about bears. They are so cute and furry. Then I remember they have ginormous claws and teeth. I know. They are so cute. Like when we saw them, you see them walking around and they kind of lumber around. And they look really cute walking around. But then, they stand up and they're like giant and they could shred you in a matter of minutes, seconds. Yeah. Anna says, I think of consciousness as a collective. Me too. I really do. And I think some people can tap into that better than others. I think when I was a kid, I was much better at it. I'm an empath anyway, but I think I was very much more, because I didn't care as much what people thought. I grew up in the country developing my own ideas, and my family was pretty supportive of things. Like I had these, I'd create things, as a kid. And I listened to this the other day too. As a kid, when you watch a kid develop, like talking about, oh, they're going to go ride the unicorn, and you don't tell the kid, no, that's not real, you can't do that. You just say, oh, that's nice, right? You just say, that's great for you, I can't wait to hear about it. And I think if we did that more for people and let people kind of, have their own imaginations and have their own, and not try to force our beliefs on everybody, I think it would be a lot nicer. People would be kinder. People wouldn't have so many issues with themselves. Like I think a lot of issues that I've had with me come from other people who have said things or given me impressions of things. And so I do think, as you grow, sometimes you become disconnected with that. But I do think consciousness is a collective. Susan says, actually, there are some people I don't worry about offending. Even people that really I don't agree with, sometimes I still don't like to offend. It's hard. Kimberly says, I am brutally honest, and people know not to ask my opinion if they don't want to know the truth. See, that's the thing. I've never been able to be like that. Some of my friends are, and it's off-putting sometimes, because I'm just like, I'm taken aback sometimes by things people say, because I'm like, how can you be like that? But it's also can be very refreshing because you know where you stand. We have friends like that. You know where you stand, right? There's never, but I'm one that I do try to buffer everything a little bit. I'm just that way. Anna says, I am not like that, Anne. I am way too apologetic and feel too hard. Oops, sorry, things jumped. Feel too hard when people are unkind. I'm like that too, Anna, but I'm getting I feel like I'm getting better. I'm going to say better because I feel like being like that was not the true me. It's who I kind of grew into. Anne says, you talk about not being yourself when you were younger and even now. Oh, you talk about, not being yourself when you were younger and even now. I think that has a lot to do with it. I knew myself at a young age. I know who I am. I know who I am is a comfort when someone misinterprets me. Yeah, when I was very young, I feel like I knew who I was. And I feel like I just didn't care as much what people thought. And then as I got older and had issues with my vitiligo and had issues with becoming, not becoming gay, but coming to terms with being gay, and all of that kind of happening around puberty, which is a time of change anyway. And I went through, I had to have braces and, it was a whole thing. I really lost a lot of that. And I took a big setback in that. And, I think I started being concerned way too much with what other people thought of me and how I looked and how I acted. And I'm just now finally starting to get more comfortable with me again. But I think you're right, Anne. I think that's, if you can know yourself from a young age, I think it's really important. Angela says, you just expanded my picture. I am learning to be less reactive. Good. Anna says, I want a unicorn. Who doesn't want a unicorn? Right? Honestly. Although horses have always scared me a little. So I don't know if a horse with a giant spike on their head would be more, I don't know. But yeah. Anna says, Anna, I thought, yes, I want to ride a unicorn. I also want a pony and a teddy bear and a puppy. I know, right? Don't forget kitties, Susan says. That's right. Danielle says, Kimberly, I'm also honest, but finally learned how to soften a bit my tones. It's in the tone that makes the music, right? Sometimes, I think, right? Oh, yeah, I think, I don't know. Sometimes people who have that childlike charm and way about them, we sometimes make fun of or, talk down to like they haven't really grown up. But I think in a lot of ways, they've got it going on because they don't care and they are still in touch with that part of themselves. Anyway, I've got to show you at least a few lots of beads. Gonna make a little bit of money tonight, hopefully. I hope so. I hope you like what we have. And I just kind of pulled some stuff. So we'll see if y'all like it. We'll see if you all like it. So this is how this works. If you want to purchase from this video, take down the lot number. These are going to be RNW lots for Random Night with William. RNW, so put RNW1, for example, in the subject line of an email. Address that email to info@allegorygallery.com. That's how we do it. And please, please, please feel free to comment on these things. The social media networks love it when you all comment. And also feel free to keep commenting on the things we've been talking about. Yes. Daniela says, just wanted to say thank you for a lovely and interesting conversation with you all. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's good to see you back, Daniela. I was getting concerned. I was going to email you. I think there's an email of yours I never responded to, and I felt terrible because I realized that just a day or two ago, and I was like, oh my goodness. I hope she doesn't think I've totally, I'm totally not ever going to respond. I need to respond, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I got to say that. Sometimes my anxiety, if I don't respond to somebody and I realize it's been a while, my first inclination is to do that. But then my anxiety is like, but it's been so long, you haven't responded. Now you really have to make it long and intense, and you have to explain why. And then I get in my head about it, and then I don't know if y'all are like that. It's a terrible feeling. Because instead of just saying, hey, sorry, I should have responded back, I'll get back to you in a little bit, I have to sit for 40 minutes and compose an email. And we just, with the cats and stuff, we haven't had time. Denny says, yes, feel terrible. Ha ha ha. No, don't make me do it. These are religious charms, RNW1. They're $10 for these. And you're getting 5 different charms in here. So this is the first one. Then you get this one. We also had a wonderful assortment of Cracker Jack charms yesterday. So if you missed out on those, please be sure to watch the end of yesterday's video. But we also had some great enamel by Andrew at the beginning. So watch the whole thing. And there's some really fun stuff in there. Daniel says, all in Spanish. These ones... this one, I'm trying to, can you read it? I don't. Oh, Maria. Is that one Spanish? Sin pecado? Yes. Sin pecado. Yeah, so that one's Spanish. Por nos. Okay. This one can't tell. I think that's Spanish on that one. Corazón, yep, there it is, de Jesus. That one is Spanish. This one says crusade. Crusade, crusade. And then these ones, I don't know if they have any text on them at all. But those first two are definitely in Spanish. So yes. And it says, oh my gosh, the enamel, especially the prong set ones, are so great. Also, always love Cracker Jack charm. They were good. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Sacred Heart, says Anna. Yes, that is the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Yep. So that's that. RNW1, and that is available for $10. $10 for that lot. Only one of them available. I'm going to turn on the air conditioner. It might get a little loud. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Generally people can, I think. But it is getting really warm in here. And I just realized that. I think I finally stopped talking enough to realize that it was getting warm. The other day, somebody asked us about some antler stuff, and I don't know. I think I had some people asking in the store, but I figured some of you may not have seen all these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 19 of these available. Angela says, love the vintage French religious medals in my last AG package. Oh, good. Danielle says, I don't know if it's a cultural or if it's cultural, but in my country they are getting less religious, even if it's a Catholic country mostly. I think a lot of people are becoming spiritual, but less concerned with the organization of religion. And I think they've done studies on this, and this is a thing that's happening in general in this country too. Fewer and fewer young people are religious, but many are spiritual. And you know, I was. This is antler. These are carved antler, and they are really cool. There are 19 of these total. They're sold individually, so each one of these is $3 if you're interested. You know, my upbringing was not very religious. My one grandfather was super religious, and he was Seventh-day Adventist, and that's the church that if we would stay over on the weekends, we would have to go, except he didn't go because he was actually, I believe, tossed out of his own church. So I always heard that he was tossed out because he used to preach and he scared people. Like he was super the fire and brimstone kind of person, but I don't know if that's really the truth. But I was brought up in that way, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Seventh-day Adventists. And, you know, I have to say the people that I would get to know at the church were very nice people, but it was not for me. I never felt comfortable in church. It was just not one of those things that when I would go, it never felt right. And so I've never been a super religious person. My mom did not make us, you know, go to church. My dad kind of wished we would have more, I think, but he was around less and less as I got older. And so we never really did the church thing. And my mom always left it up to us to decide what we wanted to do with our lives that way. And I'm glad she did, because it gave me the time and the okay to experiment and see what I really believed in. And I'm a very spiritual person. I believe we are connected on many levels. Um, but I've never felt comfortable in a church. And I've been to different churches. I've been with different friends who went to different churches. And it was just never my thing. I have, if that's what people do and you feel comfortable and you feel like it's a good thing in your life, that's great. Um, but it's not for me. So, I think a lot of people are um, doing more of that, and they are becoming less necessarily religious and more spiritual about things. These are some brass charms. These are little seaside charms, seashells, different kinds of shells, brass stampings, and these are vintage RNW3, $2. $2 on those. Anna says, I think people still like the rituals of religions. I will say I agree with that too. I think so. Um, even though I wasn't a very religious person growing up, like I could understand, like our religion was not full of a lot of rituals. But like when I would see Catholics going to church and doing the whole thing and the big masses and I was like, there's something to that. There's something about that is in some ways comforting, um, and that I could relate to. But yeah, I don't know. I it was just never for me though. I should probably leave some of these out a little bit more, huh? Um, the shell that is like a clamp, can you show that again? Sure. I don't know why I'm taking these away so quickly. We've been leaving stuff out. I should leave stuff out. People seem to like that. This one. So these are brass stampings, and they're stamped out, and then they're folded. So they were originally stamped out flat, and then they're folded together to make those. Kimberly's home from concessions and getting into comfy clothes. Nice. Anna says, exactly, rituals are comforting many times. Yeah, I think so. And I've also just recently, I'm going to put these out again, because I just realized I'm not like leaving stuff out, and people seem to like that. So let me put these out. And they've just apparently found a portion of the brain that is inherently spiritual or religious. That when they've tested when people have like spiritual or religious experiences, this part of the brain lights up, and I guess it's very close to the what is it, autonomic nervous system, the part of the brain that controls breathing and that automatic stuff. So they're starting to think that we are kind of pre-hardwired to be spiritual or religious, or to believe in a power above us. And that article got into the whole thing with like, did God create us or did we create God? And the whole idea was that if we weren't created by God, we would have created God anyway because our brain is wired to do that. But why is it wired to do that? So it was really interesting. Daniel says, does it have a bump on it or something in it that would be the belly of the shell? I don't know what you mean. This is it. It looks like that. You don't want to really open it up if that's what you mean, because it would make this weak because it's only connected with this point right here. So you should leave it closed, but these are the two other ones too. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's as much as I know. Teresa says, I got hurt by church people when I was younger, so I became a spiritual person instead. Yeah, I think that happens a lot too. Especially, with me being gay, and, now more and more churches are starting to be accepting of that. But growing up, um, that was not something that was very accepted by a lot of different churches, I will say. Um, oh no. Oh no. That was my whole box of stuff. Hold on, everybody. One moment. I definitely weighted that box wrong. Okay. I'll pick up the rest of it later. Let's see here. You probably got a preview of the next one coming up. Are these beautiful red? I love this. It's almost like a velvety red bead. RNW4. We had these at 7. I'm going to drop them to 6 for you tonight. Sandra says, that didn't sound good when you dropped the beads. No, it does not, right? But these are let me move this light because I like my light better here. These are kind of a velvety almost look. They're not velvety, but they have that look to them. That's what they remind me of. And these are approximately 10 millimeters by about 7.5. Let's see here. Daniela had some bad experiences at church too, became more spiritual as well. Yeah, I think, that happens to people too. I think that definitely happens to people. All right, so these, I like some, I didn't purposefully put these together to mix and match, but I really like these colors together. The red with the antlers. Like if you created something, like even if you made this into like a focal at the end of a necklace, let me see if I can get this together. Like just to make that into kind of its own pendant, I think is kind of cool. And you could do other things then up from here, but that could be like a focal. I really didn't plan to do mix and match because I'm by myself and it's very hard to do mix and match by yourself, but I think that could really work. Anna says, I've always found the blind beliefs to be uncomfortable, especially if questioning voices were silenced. Yeah, that was always one of my biggest problems with people who are very, sometimes very devout, is they don't question things. This lot has sold. Thank you so much. Oh, Daniela, sorry. What is the cost for those red beads? It was 6 for all of them, but they are sold. They just sold out. But 6 for the whole thing. These are $3 each, and there are 19 of them available. I'm just showing you for them. $10 for all of those together, and $2 for all of those together. I'll try to write each on there if it is an each thing, but generally it's for the whole thing that I'm showing you if I don't write that. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay. These are a vintage dyed fossil. They're dyed. I don't know what kind of fossil they are, but they are dyed. This is RNW5. They were $10. I'm going to bring them down to 6 for y'all. There are 2 of them available. I also like this blue color. So that's what they look like up close. They're a dyed fossil. That's all that they have on them. I don't know what kind of fossil they are, but they're really pretty. They take the dye nicely, and they're a nice bright blue. And I think like with this gold, it looks luxe. Throw some maybe lapis in there, and you'd have kind of that blending together. I think they look really good with the antler or bone beads like that. So there's that. Sandra says, me too. I got excommunicated from the church because they were trying to tell how to spend my money. They took as a disobeying them. Haven't been back, but still have a relationship with God. Yeah, it's yeah, you know, I saw my grandparents. They didn't have a lot of money, but every month they would do tithings to the church, and it always seemed strange to me that the church would take a fairly decent portion of what they made. Um, that it just never struck me as correct. And they didn't have to do it. That was their choice, but it was just such a strange thing to me. Kimberly says, update, my spiral rope is at 13.5 inches. I'll probably have it ready to add Andrew's pendant on Friday. Nice. Nice. All right. So that's RNW5. Let me take this one away because this one has sold. Let's make some room here. You know what? Actually, I'm going to leave a few of those out because I had seen something in here that I wanted to show kind of maybe with those. RNW6. Let's see here. We had this at 8. Let's bring it down to 6. Susan says, I'm very fortunate that my parents were open to other belief systems and cultures. And Sandra says, love the red and the blue next to each other. Me too. Look at those colors together. Oh, oh, oh. They are nice. They are nice. Yeah, my mom was very open to other things. My dad was kind of more into organized religion, but like I said, he wasn't always around. As many of you know my story. So we didn't do necessarily what he wanted to do, but I was glad my mom, she was always very open about stuff. These are these beautiful lampwork glass swirly beads, and I think these are super cool. These kind of stringer beads. Kimmy says, I'm a big believer in you don't have to go to church to have a relationship with God. You can pray and worship wherever you are and don't need a special defined building. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Number 6 just sold. That's this one. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Anne says, my parents left church when we were young and just had family meetings where we talked about being good people in the world. I think that's important. That's what I was raised more with. Like, my mom has always been more spiritual. And we talk about things like manifestation and all that and the science behind it. And she's been a science, like she's always believed in herbs and vitamins, and she's been interested in science, but she's also a very spiritual person, and we have our certain beliefs and things, and for a while mine were the same because she was my mom, as growing up, and that's what you learn, and you take after people, but we diverge a little bit on some things, but it's always been about treating people nicely and treating people well and being good people. And that's what mainly everything for us has come down to. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that was my base. It does sometimes make it hard for me to be and stand up for myself and to be a little mean when I need to be, but that's my own thing to get over. Daniela says, geez, got late for number 6. Yeah, you got to be quick sometimes, right? Sanders has got to be quick, Daniela, right? Got to be quick. RNW7 coming up. Let's see what we've got. Let me pull something else here. Anybody like pearls? Let's see, I've got one strand of these. This is why I hate turning on the air conditioner. Everything, all my bags get blown around. I've got only one strand of these left. They were 18. I'm going to bring them down to 16. These are really pretty pearls. Vintage freshwater pearls. RNW7. They're kind of this red, bronzy color. Sandra says, nope, don't like pearls, right? Isn't it Pearl Month, Sandra? Aren't you the one who told us all about it? It's Pearl Month. These are vintage freshwater pearl. Kimberly says, no, don't show me pearls. Love pearls, but round pearls, not those. Yeah, round pearls are nice, but I love these little pearls. I like them when they're not too perfect. And this strand has sold. So thank you so much. Already gone. But it's got that kind of red cherry kind of tint to it. And I like that because it's kind of playing well with others here today. I didn't even do that on purpose, y'all. I'm just like, I'm in such a mix and match mood lately. It's just happening on demand. I like when that happens. Sandra says, yep, it's per month. That was me. I know, I was playing. I know it was you. I know who it was. 100% you. All right. RNW8, $4. These are some gold-colored spacer beads that we have still. I'm not going to take them out of the bag. Kimberly says, those are cool. I like the imperfect pearls. Me too, because the other ones are too dang expensive for my pocketbook. So this is these, you get all of these, $4 for the lot. And these are gold-colored spacers. They are about 6.5 millimeters. 6.5 millimeters. RNW8. Only one of those available. All right, now I am going to take some stuff away that has sold. Thank you all so much for helping us out. We really do appreciate all of the support. With Andrew being away, it is a little harder. He's using more gas. Y'all did buy a lot of his hearts, though, so we really do appreciate that as well. If you missed any of Andrew's hearts, he has posted them on his timeline, and you can purchase them there, and we're invoicing from there. And if you missed any of his enamel yesterday, so far we've not posted that anywhere else. So they're still available only for you all so far who watch the lives. He has brand new enamel pendants. The blue ones are pretty. My favorite are those prong set ones. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I want to keep one of those for myself. Number 11, I think, is on my, I don't know if he'll let me keep it though. I have a hard time with that anyway. And he's always like, I can just make you another one, but I don't know if he's gonna make any more of those. Because they were not easy to make. The price should probably be double what he's charging. Because they took a lot of different kind of firing levels to get that to work out. RN8 has sold. I don't know if I said that, but thank you so much. I'm going to leave that one up there. No, I won't. Those are spacers. You know what those are. Except those spacers would look really deluxe with these dyed fossil beads. Like, I love blue and gold together. Look at those. You need some of those dyed fossils. Nobody got those. Nobody wants the dyed fossils. I think they're super cool. All right. Let's see. What else do I have in my stash? What do I want to show you? What do you all want, everybody? What are you all into right now? Seems like the red is going. Let me do something more red. RNW9. These are $4. And there are 2 of them available. Daniela says, I need some tourmaline. I might have some tourmaline. I saw some tourmaline earlier. I don't know if I pulled it or not. I had some tourmaline chips, like little chips, little tiny, tiny chips. Beautiful tourmaline, though. Norma says, I'm still thinking about that number 11 too. I love that one, but I've been overspending my budget lately. I have to do a lot of house repairs. Oh no, I get that. Did you get one, Norma? I can't remember because there were some orangey ones. The 11 wasn't the orangiest one. And I know you like the orange and red. Um, so these are Lamport glass. Beautiful little red beads. $4 for the strand. Obviously, they're not um, handmade. Well, they are handmade, but they're not like artisan. But they're beautiful little beads. Kimberly says, "Wait, what? Did I miss the enamel pendants? Were you here yesterday, Kimberly? Yesterday we released new enamel pendants. I don't have them here. They're at the cottage, or I'd show you. I didn't even take pictures of them to show you. But remember, Andrew previewed them. Remember, they were the ones that he previewed that had they were kind of like coral looking and they had gold on them, and then he prong set them with the sterling silver prongs with the little balls on the end. I think you were there when he previewed them and teased them at one point, but he put them up for sale last night. And also the blue ones with the gold stamping, um, he put those up for sale. So I think they were $16 for the blue ones with the stamping and only $68 for the ones with the sterling silver bezels that he created, the prong sets. So they're not really prong set, but the prongs. We debuted those yesterday. So if you missed them, make sure there are 3 out of the 5 left. I think maybe 2 out of the 5 left now. Like I said, I've not been able to open my spreadsheets today, and I think I have a claim for another one, but I got to check. He also released the hearts too. Those hearts were released, the day before or Friday. I can't remember. But yeah, the hearts are released. Nora says, I got a heart, but no enamel pendant. All right. I couldn't remember. The enamel pendants are beautiful. If you miss them, don't sleep on those because we haven't shown them to anyone else. Like I said, yet we've not put them on his timeline. He's not opened them up to the world yet. Only the people who watch the lives have seen them so far. And I know, Norma, you were talking about those fiery ones, the orangey red ones. I don't think 11 was as much orangey. It had 11 had a little bit of all the colors, which is why I liked it. But there were 2 that were specifically more orangey red, I think. He says, not last night, not sure how or why I missed last night. I'll go back and look. But I do have a nice selection of Andrew's pendants. I'll check out the replay because I wanted one with the prongs. Yeah, there are only a few left right now. He only released 5 of them. So I think 3 of them have sold already, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. This is another strand of vintage freshwater pearls. These are top drilled. These little silvery white beauties. Norma says, I thought 11 and 13 were the orangey red ones. I thought 11 was the one I liked, and it had all the colors. I think there were 2. Was it 13 and 15? Or 12 and 13 were the more orangey ones? I could be wrong. I have a very bad memory, y'all. Exceptionally terrible sometimes, especially depending on how tired I am. Look at these pearls. Look at the colors. Can you see them all? There are pinks and blues. These are really pretty pearls. Some greens in there. And these are top drilled little drop pearls. Really nearly perfect. They're 6.7 millimeters by about 4.7. And look how similar they are to one another. They're really, really close to perfect. And they have just sold. Thank you so much. RNW10 has sold $22. We all y'all want to see next? Y'all have any requests? Not that I can definitely do a lot of requests because I only have a certain amount of things here, but let me see. I haven't found that tourmaline yet. It could very possibly be on the floor right now, too. Oh. Oh. Here it is. What did I do with that? Let me see here. Let me see this for a second. Okay. These ones, so if you missed the red ones earlier, get ready. These are a little bit more, not by much. Daniela asked, did I get that one? You did. You got the pearls. You got the pearls. Thank you so much. These are a little bit bigger than the other ones. They're a size larger, but these are about 11.8 by 8.2. And you get all of them for $7. So if you got the other ones, lot number 4, you might want 11 to go with them. Or if you missed out on 4, you might want to grab 11. But you get all of those for $7. RNW 9 is still available. These, look how nicely these go together too. Look at those. Beautiful together. And then add some shell pendants. Look at that. Beautiful. Norma says, I just went back and had to go back and check, right? 11 and 13 had the orange. 11, 12, and 13 have not sold. You and I both liked 11 the most. Yeah, I think it was 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And I have some requests in my inbox for some. So, y'all, if you like them, don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. 11 just sold. Thank you so much. Multiple times. I've only got the one lot of those. Let me put those. I'm gonna leave. I gotta put something back. What should I put back? Let's put back the religious medals. Nobody wants those this time. Those usually sell really well for us. I'm surprised. But RNW1, I'm gonna put those back. They're still available, but I'm just gonna take them off the table. The antler beads. So far, nobody wants the antler beads. Danielle says, now the blue ones and these red ones go very well together. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Norma says, anyway, they are all gorgeous. I know they are. They are. I think 11 was my favorite. I didn't remember it having as much of the orange, but that's good because it has all the colors. That was my favorite. All right. You know I'm going to pick my favorites. And I like the rainbow. I like when things have lots of color. Lots of fun color. All right, and number 3, nobody wants poor, lonely 3. All those seashells, $2 only. Put 3 away. All right, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Get these over here. All right, let's move this over. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna give that a little bit of more of a chance. I don't know why nobody likes those, but I don't know. I don't know, y'all. 10 has sold, so I'm going to remove those. Thank you so much for that. And, oops, I just used that bag. Let's put this in here. Wrong bag for the wrong thing. Certain things fit in certain bags. Yeah, you can still request the enamel from last night if you want to. They'll be able to be requested from the live for another day or so, and then and then we'll probably post them on timelines. Let's see here. Says, well, in my country, the fossils, lovely ones, people reject them because their surface is scratched. That's interesting. That's interesting. These ones, maybe they are softer. I don't know. It might be a softer one, but these ones are pretty. I think that whatever the coloring is they put on them, I think adds an extra layer of protection to them. But I could see that. I could definitely see that. What are these? Oh, those we just did recently. I want to do those again. How about these big beads? This is RNW12. These are $26. There are 2 of them available. These are these large Tibetan beads. Beautiful large beads. These are approximately 20 millimeters by 51. And I love these. I took everything away, of course, but they go so well with all different kinds of colors, all different things. So fun. Let me see what I can pull that I would put maybe with those. What would I do with those is the question today. Let's see if I can find what I would do with those. Yeah, let's hold off on that one. Let's hold off on that one. Those look like part of a submarine to me, says Norma, but I like them. I know, they kind of do, right? They're kind of big. You have to like big beads. I know some people who used to come into the store who would love these. Because they used to like the big stuff too. Ooh, I like these with these. Let's see here. How about those? Beautiful smoky quartz. RNW13. These were 28. I'm going to bring them down to 22 for you. These are beautiful smoky quartz faceted rounds. Really nice quality and clarity to these. When they're nice and cold, I can tell these are real. Look at those, everybody. So these are approximately very point on, 6 millimeters. And I think these would be lovely if you did use that as the focal and put these on coming out of either side of these like that. I think that would be beautiful. Or you could hang it like this and do something like that. I just love how this smoky quartz kind of brings out these darker patinas in that metal. Beautiful. And that's a beautiful strand of stone too. RNW13. 1 strand available, $22. Super nice clarity on those. Super nice color. Very few and not many inclusions in there. Those are really nice. Vintage strand of smoky quartz. RNW13. Alright. What else? What do we have next? Excuse me. Thank you. All right. Oh, RNW13 just sold. Thank you so much. Oh, I like these. I'm not. Oops. Oh, no. Where'd you go? Here you are. All right. I am not 100% sure what these exactly are. I think they're glass. Because they're not really cold like they would be, like those smoky quartz were. I think. Anyway, let me see. They are, we have them RNW14. We have them at $8. I'm not going to go lower than that. I think they're these little pebbles. And let me see if I can hold more of them. And I'm pretty sure they're glass. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I honestly, but I like them. And I like them because they're different shapes and different variations of that color. And I think if you mixed some of these with some of these with that, I think that could be a really pretty necklace. Like, I think that looks really luxe. And you could do that in some ways, playing with interesting patterns with the beads. That's RNW14. And it is $8 for the whole lot. All right. Anybody want some really nice vintage carnelian? I mean, really nice vintage carnelian at a super duper good price. RNW15. Had these at 24. Let's bring them down to 18. I've got 3 of them available. Super duper beautiful carnelian, vintage carnelian. Look at the deep color and the beautiful patterns. That's that deep brown color. Kind of, I don't know, root beer, butterscotchy sometimes. And these are 12.5 millimeters by 17.5 approximately. They are just juicy. Juicy, juicy carnelian. RNW 15. Gorgeous, juicy carnelian. 3 strands available, $18 each only. Vintage strands, vintage quality. Back when the quality is sometimes a little bit better for the price. Now you'd pay a lot more for something like that, of that quality. But not from us, you don't. What do y'all think of that? You like that? Don't like that? Not into that? What do y'all want? What do y'all want to see? Anybody have any requests? We were talking and chatting so much, and now everybody's so quiet. What's everybody want? Help me out. Help me, help me. Help me out. How about these? RNW16. We've got 2 of these only, and they're $5 each. $5 for the strand. We've got 2 of them available. It's beautiful glass. Really pretty with the various reds we've had. I could see it combined with some of this, the smoky quartz. Like, wouldn't that'd be something? Combine some of those together, play around with that as a pattern. Whoop. Throwing my light around. RNW16. You get 4 of them for $5. We've got 2 strands of those available. And they are approximately 18.3 by 24 millimeters. All right. It looks like I'm not going to be selling the coral or the fossilized dyed fossil is what I'm trying to say. So let's put that away. That's all right. Just save that for another day. Somebody may find they need that on another day. And I'm going to put this one away, number 9. Those are still available, only $4. Got 2 of those available, 2 strands of those. And let's see here. 13 has sold, so let me put that away. Thank you, we appreciate that. Everybody's so quiet. Nobody said anything in 8 minutes. It's been 8 minutes since anybody said a word in the comments. What are y'all doing? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Why'd y'all get so quiet on me? We were chatting up a storm earlier. Okay. What's up next? What's up next? Anna says, haha, we are quiet. See, I'm timing you now. How about this? This little pendant that would go with so many of these red things that we have going on here. RNW 17. We had that at 14. Let's make it 10 tonight for y'all. Enthralled by the bees. I hope so. I hope that's the reason everybody's being quiet. But look at that, with all these red that we've had. This is a beautiful kind of Millefiori glass pendant. And $10. RNW 7. What's the measure of that one? That one is about 20 millimeters by about 23.5 with the bail at the top on it. Okay, I'm going to pull out some nice lamp work for y'all. Look at this beautiful lamp work glass. RNW 18. This was 38. I'm going to drop it down to, oh, we've never reduced this before. We've never ever reduced this before. What can I drop it down to? Let's go to 32. That is an exceptionally good deal. Beautiful lampwork glass. It's got like rainbows in there. And I think like with the carnelian, look how pretty that is. Super pretty with the carnelian. If you've got any carnelian, or you can get that carnelian. We've just sold one of the 16s. That's this one. There's one still available. Thank you so much. But look at that. RNW 18 was 38, dropping it down to 32. That's the first time ever we've offered a discount on this piece. Super gorgeous. These ones are about, let's see here, let me get it in here, about 13 millimeters by 9.5. 13 millimeters by 9.5. Look at that glow. Ooh. All right. Let's see. What do I have next? You want some stunning moonstone? How about that? RNW 19. We've just sold 18. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. How low can I go on this? I'm going to go low. I'm going to go low. Daniela says, do you know if the carnelian beads are dyed or not? Because I can polish them, but if dyed, it gets harder. These, I do not believe so. I believe these are all natural. Because the string that they're on is not dyed. And usually if they dye the stones, especially back then, because these are vintage, the strands would be dyed as well. And they are, I don't believe they are dyed. I'm pretty sure they are not dyed. They are vintage. I can't be 100% sure, but I don't believe these are dyed. They may have been heated to make them darker, but they're not dyed. I can't rule out that they were heated, but I don't believe they're dyed. Y'all, I'm going from $60 to $45. Dan says, thank you. I love them for a bracelet. They would be great in a bracelet. They certainly would. Have 3 strands of them available. RNW 19 is some delicious blue moonstone drops. These are $60, going down to $45 for you all only tonight. Look at the flash in those. I've got 2 strands, so you can see they're both beautiful, stunning rainbow moonstone drops. I hope you're seeing that flash. It is amazing. These are amazing stones. And you know $45 is cheap for that quality. because you can use just a few of these on a pair of earrings and make that money back if you sell stuff, right? If not, then they're all yours and they're beautiful and they get to be all yours. These are approximately 9 millimeters by 5.5 millimeters. 9 millimeters by 5.5 millimeters. 2 strands available. Stunning rainbow moonstone. Look at the rainbows. That's why they call it rainbow moonstone. You really see it when you have a good quality stone. 2 of those available, $45 each. If you like nice stones at a good price, don't sleep on those for sure. Wow, that moonstone is fantastic, says Kimberly. I know. And I just priced it that both of those should sell tonight, but I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I just priced it low for y'all. Very, very low. Very, very low. Okay, let me see. Let me keep looking here. What else do I have? What all you want? Let's see. Let's give you a good deal on this. I only have 1 strand of this left. We had a number of these. We've got 1 strand left. Let's price it to move. RNW20. These were 16 a strand. Let's just drop this down to $10. $10 a strand. This is aventurine. Aventurine. Little pebbles. 1 strand of these left. Some really pretty color. One strand remaining. Look at that last one right there. Ooh. So that's vintage strand of aventurine. Green aventurine. Really gemmy parts in that. You know, they're not the highest quality, but they're pretty. I love like the ones with the little bits in them, like the Matrix. Love those. That one right there. And only $10. $10 for that. RNW 20. Okay, let me clear some stuff off of here. We've sold 1 of these. We still have 1 available, but I'm going to remove that. Make some room. Nobody wants the Tibetan beads, so let's move those off of there. Can't go lower on that price. Andrew would hurt me if I went too low on that one. That's one of those I know he'd rather keep than me go too low. And we've sold this one. Thank you so much. That's number 18. All right. There are still no buyers on the carnelian. RNW 15 still available. RNW 17, 19 still available, and 20 available. All right. What are we doing here? What else is next? This RNW 21. Let's see. We can put this at 10. Let's do it at 10. RNW 21, $10. Is this Goldstone? There it is. There's the word. Goldstone with the Millefiori in it. I don't know how we still have this. I thought we sold out of all of this. This is super unique. Very different. 10 millimeters. One strand available. RNW 21. Any rondelles available? 21 just sold. I knew it was going to sell. I was $10. That's really cheap too, but that's okay. Rondelles. Rondelles of what? What kind of rondelles? Glass? Gemstones? What rondelles are? I have some gemstones or glass. I do have some rondelles. Let's see. I have these. Whoa, where'd you go? These were 45. I'm going to bring them down to 32. That's a low price. I have two of them available. These are smooth rondelles. Smooth rondelles in amethyst. Whoa. And they're all tangled. Come on. Sorry, everybody. They got tangled up. Let me get them loose from one another. Okay. Smooth rondelles, beautiful quality amethyst. Natural amethyst, smooth rondelles, not faceted, in this very clear, beautiful quality amethyst. And they are $32 a strand. Here's the other strand. Look at how clear those are. Aren't they pretty? They come on sterling silver chains with sterling silver lobster claws. So you can keep those or you can throw them away. Don't throw them away. You can restring it if you want to. It's up to you. But beautiful rondelles, smooth rondelles in the amethyst. All right, let me put some of this away. It's not selling. These may have been obsidian. I think these are golden obsidian. And they're technically, that is technically a glass, but I'm pretty sure I remember now these are golden obsidian, which is why they have that kind of goldeny color on them in some cases. That's why they're not cold like a gemstone. They're a glass, but they're a natural glass. Obsidian. Golden obsidian. That makes sense. RNW 14. Putting those away now. 15. Did not sell the carnelians, so let's put those away. We sold one of the 22s. Thank you so much. At that price, is the other one going to go to? Just wondering, because it's a good deal. Let's see here. 20. 21 is sold. Let me put that away. Where's my bag? Where's my bag? Let's use this bag. 21. That's sold. Wish I had more of that. It's sold a few times. And this one, we have one of those left. RNW 23. What's the size of the rondelles? These, Daniela, are graduated. So the smallest one, for example, is about, let me see if I can get on there, 4.3 millimeters. Up to the biggest one is 6.8. This strand may be a little bit different. Let me check just to give you an idea. This one is 4.6 to 7.3. So around the same. They're very close. But then they're all different. They graduate up. So they're small, and then they get big, and then they go back to small again. RNW 22, $32. Okay. How about, let's just see if anybody wants any of these. RNW 23. These were $100. I will take them down to 80. And that's the best I can do on these. These are 16-inch strands if you don't count the silver. They're a little bit longer with the silver. But 16-inch strands. Let me get my ruler. I can show you. You can't see the ruler very well, but you'll see they go to the 8. So they are 16-inch strands. The RNW 19 is screaming, says Sandra. I know, right? It's screaming. Look how beautiful I am. I am so beautiful, it says. Don't you want me? My price has been reduced. It's never been so low. Okay. Andrew would yell at me for taking too long on those, right? How about this one for a low price? These are treated opals. So they are treated colors. Daniel says the price in the amethyst is good compared to other stores, but on a budget. I get it. You got to pick and choose. You got to pick and choose what you like. But I think that's an exceptionally good deal for the quality. and that price is good for tonight. Now these are opals. They are dyed, but these are, so they're dyed to be colorful. And a lot of times when they dye opals, you no longer see the opal flash. The dye covers up the flash. These are not like that. As you can see, through the dye, you can still see the beautiful opal flash. There are some that aren't dyed, and look how pretty they are. So these are amazing natural opals, but they've been dyed for some of them. Not all of them are dyed. Like there's some natural ones down there, but you can still see the flash through the color, which a lot of times when you buy these online or from other people, the dye job takes away the flash. So they are, maybe you'll see a little flash here and there, but these, you see the flash. Like that flash is like, it's so beautiful. It's like turning that weird blue on the camera because it's so powerful. Stunning. Sandra says, I have those. Opals are awesome. They are. These are an amazing quality for when, we always say, as long as you know things are dyed and no one's trying to trick you, there's nothing wrong with dyed stones, right? These are dyed. It's not going to come off. They are treated, and they are stunning. Danielle says, you are so right, William. I find opals made of epoxy. Yeah, people will do all different things. So, like, knowing these are natural to begin with, and look at the ones that aren't dyed. You can see how beautiful they are. And then some of them are dyed, and they're still beautiful, but they're natural opals. They're just treated to give them that beautiful color. So there's that one strand only. That's all we've got left. We had a number of these. This is the best price I can give on them. And we've got the one left. So if anybody wants it, now's your chance to get it at a really good price. Because really, that price was the good price. To be 100% honest with you, this should be about $140 strand normally. If we go by all of our normal costing things, this should be about $140. So the $100 was a good price for everybody. These are now $80. One strand left, selling it. Sandra says the opals are like 19. They're screaming. Yeah, they want somebody to give them a home. Andrew says that, or Sandra says that's okay. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Right? He's not going to rewatch this, is he? I don't know. How about some more freshwater pearls? RNW24. These were $38. I'm not going to charge you $38. I got to see how many I have left. Sometimes that depends. Like, I would not take that down generally to 80 unless I had just a few of them left. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 strands. I'll take them down to $30. $30 a strand. 4 strands available on the Hank. Are these beautiful freshwater pearls. And I want you to see the color on these. Like, look if you did like these together. You'd really, like, the pearls have all of those colors in them already. Those pinks and those light blues. And hopefully you can see. Like, that's not a reflection necessarily of those opals. That's all in there. Like, when I pull these opals away, you'll see them less, but you'll see the colors are still in there. Look at those, like that's not a reflection of those opals. They're just there. Those greens, those blues, those pinks, all in those pearls already. And then if you did something like this with them and play with them together, look at how opulent you could make that. That's rich. That right there is a rich combination of stunningness, stunningness, stunning, whatever. You know, it's gorgeous. So these are 16-inch strands, vintage freshwater pearls with beautiful nacre on them, high quality, top drilled, $30 a strand, 4 strands available. RNW25. Let's see what I have next for y'all. All right, let me put some stuff back though because some of it's just not selling. That's okay. We'll take 20 away. Nobody wants the little aventurine right now. It's okay. Go hide away, little aventurine. I'm going to take away 17. That's that little pendant. Sandra says, what's the size of the pearls? Oh, I didn't give you the size, did I? Let me move these around here. Yeah, because Sandra, you have those opals already, right? You're ready to mix and match with those. Those pearls are, these are hard to say. Like, I'm just going to grab one because they are about 9 millimeters, 8.8 by about 6. And I just grabbed that one. You know, they're all different, but that's the general size of those. And it's so weird to say use the opals, the gorgeous, stunning, beautiful opals as spacers. Because normally you think of spacers as something cheaper, but if you use those as spacers in between those pearls, they would go a lot further, right? You could get a lot more use out of the opals, and just think of the wonderful bracelet that you could make using those together. Like, ooh, those would be some luxe and fun. They would be fun bracelets because they'd have all those colors. So just use them as spacers between the pearls. And that is gorgeous. Right? I would make bracelets, bracelet after bracelet with those. Sandra says, I'm now how you would use them together, just like that. Just like that. In between the pearls, use the opals as a spacer, and you would have the most fun pearl bracelets. Make a few little earrings that way to do a matching set, maybe. Make a little drop earring. Stunning. Stunning. All right. Okay, let me find something else here. Let me dig. Let's do these. The other religious charms didn't sell, but let's see if these do. RNW 25. We have crucifixes. So we have this one. We have this one. We have this, which was in the other set as well. And we have a cross. And then this crucifix here. And then this one here. So you get all of those, $10 for the set. Now some of these, the bail, I will say the bail on these two, because they're old, they're broken off. So you would have to drill if you wanted to use them, or you could wire wrap them. I think these are something that could be nice, wire wrapped onto another stone if you wanted to. But I did just want to point that out. That's why you're getting extra in here for the same $10. All right. Okay, let's see here. RNW26. Okay, what else do I have in here? Oh, I love these. Oh my goodness, that's one strand. Okay, that's a big strand. How about these vintage glass beads? Vintage glass cylinder beads. I believe these are Indian glass. They were 28 for the strand. I'm going to drop it down to 20 for the strand. That's just what Andrew doesn't know. That won't hurt him too much, right? Hopefully. We'll see what he says. If he finds out. But these are lovely. Big cylinders. They're approximately 11 millimeters. They do vary somewhat in thickness, but about, what is that, 8? About 8 millimeters. About 11 by 8 millimeters. And they have so many different colors in them. They can go well with so many things. They've got blue, they've got red, they've got yellow, they've got green, they've got brown. Daniela, yes, those are glasswork. I believe Indian glass from India. Andrew's here. He says, I know. How are you on the internet, Andrew? I thought the internet was not strong enough down there where you are. Are you home? Did you not tell me you're home? He's like, I know. Look at him popping up like a jackrabbit up there. RNW26. Andrew is everywhere. He's always around. Okay, everybody. All right. Nobody has bought. Let's see, where's my bags? Nobody has bought the Rainbow Moonstone. How you resisted? I guess good job for resisting, but how you resisted, I'll never know. Lowest price ever, $45 per strand. Here they go, going away. Need to make room. All right. $22. There's still one of these left. We sold one. That's an excellent price for the amethyst. Let me just show you that again. Look at this quality. 16-inch strands, graduated smooth rondelles, amazing color, not dyed. These are natural. Amazing color, amazing clarity, very few imperfections as far as, I just lost the word. Anyway, they're clear, they're nice, they're beautiful, and they're only $32. All right, so that's that. And then these are still available. Still gonna tease you with these. These beautiful opals. Inclusions. Thank you, Anna. Daniela says, I love these so much, I will talk with my wallet. Let me have a talk with your wallet, Daniela. We gotta have a serious conversation because it's making you miss out on some things. RNW23, RNW24, which I just think, bam, put those together. Look at those. Look at the color. Y'all, don't sleep on that. Use the opals as spacers. Make some bracelets out of those pearls. Price them up. Sell them off. And then we've got the religious metals down here. And we've got this glass here. All right. Who all's still out here with me? I still got 17, 18, 19 people watching. It's fluctuating a little bit. Are you out there? Who's out there with me? Who's hanging out? Say hi if you're out there. Let me know. These were $60. I've got one strand left, so I'm bringing them down to $40. $40. You like garnets? Please give likes, says Daniela. Yes, please give the likes, everybody. Susan's here. Thank you. Norma's here. Thank you for being here. Here's some beautiful garnets. Look at these berry-colored natural garnets. Anna's still here. Hello, Anna. Thank you for being here. Look at these garnets. They are stunning. I think that's the word of the night. Stunning. We just sold one strand of the 24 of those pearls. Thank you so much. Garnets. Teresa's still here. Hello, Teresa. I really want to eat those beads, says Anna, right? Don't eat the beads, but they are juicy. If that's not a juicy bead, I don't know what is. Danielle says, just saw some garnet at Fire Mountain and they are so scratched. Ugly. We try, if they're imperfect, that's okay as long as the price reflects that. I don't think $40 is enough for these, to be 100% honest with you, because look at the quality of these. They're not scratched. They are stunningly beautiful, very clear, very transparent on those, and only $40. This is a 16-inch strand of these garnets, and they are approximately 5.3 millimeters. I think they're about 5.3, 5.4, and they're about 6.2 long. So about 5.5 by 6 millimeters. Berrylicious RNW 27. One strand left. That's why I'm doing it at 40. They're 123 carats, by the way. That's the carat weight on there. They're done on sterling silver, so you can reuse these if you want to. But you can restring them, do what you want. Had to go back to your phone. Your computer ran out of battery, says Sandra. Oh no, don't do that. I hope your phone's working now. RNW 27. I'm pricing them at this because there's only one strand left. Because normally these should be a little bit more than 60 to start. 60 is a good price on that strand as it is. In the store, we sell these for $60 when we have them. Usually we sell them for a little bit more, $75. So $40 because there's only one left. And it's yours if you want it. You can claim it, RNW 27. Let's see what I've got next. This is a good deal. Oh, we've sold 27. Thank you so much. That one has now sold. It is gone, everybody. Let's see here. This is going to be $15. RNW 28. One of these left as well. This is a beautiful shell pendant. The hole is up here. It is a composite shell, so there are multiple pieces of shell put together. And it is two-sided. And it is about 30, I think it's 30 by 40. Let's see. Yep, 30 by 40. 30 by 40 millimeters. Look at that. That's abalone. And I love how they cut them up and reform them into these beautiful pieces. And then they are covered, so they're secure. Kimberly says, "Oh, I love these." Right? They are magnificent. And there's one of these left. RNW 28. Beautiful pendant, like add it to something like the pearls. You get all those colors coming out. Beautiful pendant. Very simple, very beautiful. All right. Let's see. The amethyst. Where's my bag for that? Where's my bags? Where are my bags? Where did that go? Probably fell on the floor. There it is. We'll put the amethyst away. One strand still left if anybody wants it. RNW 22. $32 only. Great deal. I'm gonna put the opals away. Treated natural opals. One strand left. Only $80. Really good deal. Okay, that goes away. And let's move these over. Is anybody still thinking about any of these other pieces? Yeah, move this up a little bit. Oh, this one sold. 27 sold. Let me find the bag for that. I'm going to take that away. Thank you, thank you. This is still available. Let's see. Anybody like green amethyst? Anybody like that? Let's see. These were $75. Let's take it down to, oh, what the heck, $50. $50. Susan says yes to green amethyst. Prasiolite, green amethyst. Beautiful stones. Again, very few inclusions, very nice quality. Green amethyst, faceted rounds. Ever so slightly graduated on these. Look at how beautiful those are. So they graduate from about 5 millimeters to the largest on here are 8, almost 8.5, 8.3. Daniela says, did you know, William, that Uruguay, where I live, we have amethyst mines, mostly violet, which is a grade. Nice. Have you ever visited them? Have you ever visited the mines? So green amethyst, which is A grade. Yeah, A grade. Nice. I love amethyst. And he says, yes, once. They are amazing. I bet. I bet. I love amethyst. I love green amethyst like this too, the Prasiolite. And this is exceptional quality. For $50 a strand. There it is. $50 RNW 29. Sorry, I just gotta check something here. I'm gonna check a price. My computer will catch up to me. Down here you can buy those big bulky amethyst rocks, normally with some agate around the rock and quartz as well. Nice. Oops, my screen just went, hold on. I hate when it does that. All right. These are a moonstone. These are different than the other moonstone we had, the rainbow moonstone. We had these at 60. I have just the one strand left, so I'm going to go down to $45. Just $45 on these. And these are super pretty. They have a different kind of flash. They're not the colorful flash. They're more like a gray moonstone. These are a moonstone. And look at that chatoyance they've got in them. Oh, it did it again. I don't know why it's been doing this lately. These are nice big drops. This is the lowest price we've ever offered these at. And it's only because there's one left. These are approximately 19 by 11. And I bought those moonstones, and they are gorgeous. They really, really are. Oh, Anna says, this is a Canadian amethyst mine. Nice. So beautiful, beautiful moonstone. Beautiful chatoyance. 1 strand available. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 drops on there for $45. How many did I say? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 for 45. That works out to just under $2.50 each. $2.50 each a drop. That's some high quality stuff for $2. I would never sell those for $2.50 a piece only. Those would be like $4, $5, $6 a drop if I sold them individually. Make some earrings out of those. $2.50, $5. You have a pair of earrings. Less than $5, you have a pair of earrings. That's wild talk. Yeah, how can I even sell them at that? That's insane. Okay. Anyway, let's do a few more, and then maybe we'll go to 35 tonight. Do a few more. What do I have? Do I have anything? Maybe not. Let's see if I've got anything worth showing tonight anyway. This is also Prasiolite. Green amethyst, in other words. How many of these I have? I have 3 strands of this. What do I have these priced at? These were originally $24. I'll bring them down to $20. These are nice long strands of green amethyst, Prasiolite, and they're these little kind of square spacers. So they're cut in this square shape, which is, I think, really fun. And they're fun to play with in chunks. So if you put them in groupings in your necklaces or bracelets, and you put them between things, they make a really cool pattern if you use them together like this. Or you can use them one at a time in between things, but I like to use them as a grouping. And these are long strands, by the way. So these are, let me get you a size on these. These are 16-inch strand, a little over 16-inch strands. Love a cute squishy, right? Yeah, square heishi, squishy. 16-inch strands. Beautiful green amethyst. Only $20 a strand. 3 strands available. RNW 31. RNW 32. $15. We've got another one of these beautiful abalone pendants. This time in a round. There's the hole at the top for a jump ring or a bail. Beautiful abalone pendant, $15. RNW 32, and this one is approximately 34.5 millimeters. 34.5 millimeters. All right, let me put some of this away. The pearls, let's put the pearls away. We sold one of these, so we've got 3 left. Okay. And I'm going to put these away, these religious medals. And the glass, let's put let's see, what is this? This way. And let's move this over. We'll move this over up here. Move this up here. Move this up here. Move this up here. And where are we at? 33. RNW 33. How about a lot of bone, carved bone beads? Let's see here. We had 14. Let's do 10 on these. These are bone, hand-carved bone tubes and some rondelles, large hole rondelles. So you get all of those for $10. If you like bone, there you go. And these are approximately 5.5 millimeters by 37.5. The rondelles are about 13 millimeters with a almost, we'll say 4.5 millimeter hole. All right, I think those are cool. RNW 34. Digging, let me find something good. Here's another strand of beautiful carnelian, vintage carnelian. One strand left. This was 36. I'm going to drop it down to, let's go all the way to 28. $28 only. Beautiful natural carnelian. Vintage. What you see is what you'll get. These are nice and thin. beautiful patterns. They just keep going and going. There's more and more. Ooh, I like that one right there. I would buy the strand for that one right there. So these are, let me give you a sizing on these. Vintage Carnelian, 23.7 by 35. 23.5 by 35. RNW 34. RNW 34. And RNW 35. Last one. Let's see what I have in here. Okay, I have a mini strand. This is about a 10-inch strand of tourmaline. These are high quality. We had this at 18. I'm going to mark it down to 16. That's as low as I can go. It's a shorty strand, but it's really nice quality. Tourmaline faceted rounds. There's some of that indicolite in there. Lots of indicolite, actually. Beautiful tourmaline. All different kinds. And it is 2.5 millimeter faceted rounds. RNW 35, and it has sold already. Thank you so much. It's a high quality shorty strand. $16 sold. And that's it, my friends. That's all I'm doing tonight. I'm wearing out. I'm tired. I've been driving all around today. I've been doing errands, doing all different things. So I appreciate all of you hanging out there with me. I'm hoping my spreadsheet software is back up and running. We'll see. I'm going to try and invoice y'all tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But I thank you for hanging out. I will also try and catch up on some of the things that people requested before that I haven't been able to add to the spreadsheets or check the spreadsheets on yet. So I'll check that out if I can tonight as well. So thank you all for hanging out with me. Thank you for the good chatting and the good support, both in sharing this broadcast, in hanging out with me tonight, in joining the conversation, in purchasing things when you can. We really do appreciate it. If y'all have any questions, you can just send us an email, and I'm going to go. So thank you all so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. I will be in my pottery class, so depending on when Andrew gets back, I think he's going to get back earlier tomorrow. He'll start the show, and then I'll help him continue when I get out of my pottery class. So thank you all. Have an amazing evening, and we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.